Chapter 2195. Xiang Yanghong's face is full of wrinkles and he looks very old. He has a head full of sparse white hair that looks like it is about to fall off. However, he looks very spirited. His old eyes are filled with treachery. When he saw the group of powerful ancient race people coming over, he promptly greeted them with a smile. His appearance is also very humble. Grand Elder, this guy snuck into the Southern Palace Hall to cause trouble. He is from Nine Sun royal family and has some strength. His blood should be used as a sacrifice, right? Sword Sun Great Elder said. This guy. Why does he look so familiar? Xiang Yanghong stared at Qin Yun and said doubtfully. Xiang Yanghong, this guy beat up my Primal Chaos Race's people. You have to take special care of him. Primal Chaos Race middle-aged man said. Xiang Yanghong promptly replied with smile. Of course. I will make this brat suffer. Shi Jianzi said. Elder Xiang, how about this? Hand this guy over to me. I want to properly teach him a lesson. No problem. I will hand him over to you after his blood is drained. Xiang Yanghong said with smile. Just as Qin Yun was about to be escorted to the barrier, Qin Yun suddenly said, Grand Elder, I have a gift for you. Gift? What gift do you have? Xiang Yanghong feels that Qin Yun is very familiar, but he cannot remember who he is. It's Xiang Yunjian's very precious item. Qin Yun said again. This is a very generous gift. Everyone is very curious as to what kind of gift this person wants to give to Xiang Yanghong. Xiang Junjian is the sect master of Sword Sun Divine Mountain. He is also Xiang Yanghong's son, but he has not appeared here in the last few days. Hearing Qin Yun's words, Sword Hall Elder and Dragon Palace Elder seem to know what Qin Yun wants to give. Xiang Junjian is very precious? This bastard went to Nine Sun Divine Palace and has not returned. I wonder where he died. Quickly take it out. Xiang Yanghong cursed a few times. He also feels that it is very strange that Qin Yun has Xiang Yunjian's item. Although Qin Yun is tied up with a thought, he took out a square box. Seeing that box, Dragon Palace Elder and Sword Hall Elder's heart suddenly jumped. Because Qin Yun asked them for Xiang Yunjian's head before, and he did not say what he wanted it for. Shen Ruoming and the nameless old man guessed that there must be something sinister in that box. Especially Shen Ruoming, he had experienced the methods of this honest man. Mo Dutian retreated slightly and stood behind his father because he had a bad premonition. Bing Xing, Lu Yu, Xu Yan and the others are also prepared to fight at any time. Xie Wufeng's eyes were like swords as he scanned the surroundings. The atmosphere at the scene suddenly became somewhat oppressive. Everyone felt it because they all felt that there was something strange about the box. Xiang Yanghong laughed and said, Everyone, don't worry. This old man has lived for several tens of thousands of years at any rate. How can I possibly be tricked by this kind of little trick? As he spoke, he opened the box and poured out the contents. With a plop, heads fell to the ground. The human head's eyes were wide open. Before it died, its eyes were filled with fear and shock. Most of the people present could recognize the face of this head. This was Xiang Junjian's head. Sword Sun God Mountain's sect master Xiang Junjian has not appeared for many days. Now he has finally appeared, but his head has arrived. When Xiang Yanghong saw Xiang Junjian's head, he immediately retreated a few steps and looked at Qin Yun with a startled and angry expression. Clang, clang, clang. Everyone present suddenly heard the sound of many swords being unsheathed. Sword Sun God Mountain's experts all unsheathed their swords. The people from the ancient races hurriedly retreated to the side, because this had nothing to do with them. They were just surprised that Xiang Junjian had been killed just like that. The nameless old man, Shen Ruoming and Mo Dutian glanced at each other. Although they guessed wrong about the contents of the box, the result is even more unexpected. Judging from the head, Xiang Junjian was killed a long time ago. What made them admire the most is that Qin Yun dared to deliver the head in this kind of situation. Not only them, everyone present secretly sighed at Qin Yun's courage. Divine Judge's pupils immediately shrank, because he can already tell that Qin Yun is that Qin Fei. He cursed in his heart, "It's this little demon again. You killed Xiang Junjian?" Xiang Yang Hong pointed at Qin Yun's hand and an origin sword suddenly appeared. Formidable sword power swept through the entire hall like a gale. Sword Sun Great Elder and other experts are just watching from the side. They did not make a move. Because this matter must be handled by Xiang Yang Hong. Qin Yun said with smile. You should be grateful that I let him die a happy death, and that I let you father and son meet one last time. Tell me, isn't this a generous gift? Impudent! Xiang Yang Hong furiously shouted and thrust his sword forward. Bang! Qin Yun's body immediately exploded with golden light. A sun-heavenly shield appeared on his wrist and blocked Xiang Yang Hong's powerful thrust. Everyone burst into an uproar. They all thought that Qin Yun was bound by chains. They did not expect that he would casually struggle free from the chains. Previously, Sword Sun Great Elder and Shi Jianzi both beat him up, but he did not struggle free. Instead, he endured patiently just to enter the hall and perform this scene. Xiang Yang Hong is a very powerful sacred god. He used such formidable power to stab his sword, but it was actually blocked by Xian God. All the people from the ancient races present are also extremely shocked. Because they all know that Xiang Yang Hong is the sword slave of the myriad realms' divine son, and he has also fused with the bloodline of a powerful race. But even so, he is still unable to penetrate the defense of a Xian god. Because Qin Yun killed Xiang Yang Hong's son, they are fighting here. It can be considered a personal grudge. The Divine Judge did not make a move. What made the Divine Judge puzzled is that last time Qin Yun was at the Medicine King Guild, he was not that powerful. If Qin Yun had this kind of strength during the Medicine King Guild, he might have killed Thunder God. Supreme Elder, let me do it. Sword Sun Great Elder suddenly said. That guy has some ability, let me test his strength first. Just now, Xiang Yang Hong could indeed feel how terrifying Qin Yun's defense was. His powerful attack did not even harm a hair on the opponent's body. All right, Xiang Yang Hong said in a deep voice. Remember, don't kill him, capture him and torture him to death. Sword Sun Great Elder's strength is much weaker than Xiang Yang Hong's, but he is still a sacred god. No matter what, the sacred god is invincible against the Xian god. Shi Jianzi said with a sneer. That guy only has a very powerful defensive divine tool. That kind of defensive divine tool consumes a lot of energy, it can't be used more than a few times. Shi Jianzi hated Qin Yun to death because his nose was smashed and his entire face was caved in. If not for the precious medicinal ingredients he used, he would definitely look very ugly right now. Not only Shi Jianzi thought this way, even the Sword Sun Great Elder thought the same. Therefore, he planned to consume the power of Qin Yun's defensive magic treasure. You brat, you must have come with the intention to die. Sword Sun Great Elder released his origin sword and said, My sword Sun Divine Mountain is a righteous sect, but you are so ruthless towards our sect's sect master. Quickly tell me, did someone order you to do this? Righteous sect? Your sword Sun Divine Mountain likes to steal other people's origin swords the most. Qin Yun said coldly. Furthermore, you deliberately stole a sword cultivator's origin sword. Is this also a righteous sect? Xie Wufeng has already heard of this before. Now that he heard Qin Yun's words, he immediately said angrily, Sword Sun Divine Mountain, have you ever done such a thing? Sword God, don't listen to his nonsense. Xiang Yang Hong promptly said, We have never done such a despicable thing. Shin Ruoming suddenly said, When I came here earlier, I heard Sword Sun Great Elder say that they once stole the Sun and Moon Twin Dragon swords of a sword cultivator girl from the Guang Han Palace. He said it himself. I also heard about it, the nameless old man said. He indeed said it. Mo Fans Han said. Yes, Sword Sun Great Elder said it. Mo Dutian said. I can testify. Divine Moon Races Yu Liyuan also replied. Xiang Yang Hong is very shocked. He did not expect that someone from an ancient race would stand up. He also cursed Sword Sun Great Elder in his heart for being an idiot. Qin Yun said, The Sun and Moon Twin Dragon swords belong to Jianrian. Jianrian is my friend. When I was in the Nine Yang Divine Palace, I saw Xiang Junjian take it out, so I became very angry and killed him on the spot. From his tone, it seems like killing Xiang Junjian was very easy. This is even more shocking. Xie Wufeng now understands why Bing Xing and Lui Shuyan attacked Xiang Yang Hong before. Sword Sun Divine Mountain stole a sword cultivator's origin sword. Moreover, they deliberately stole it. This is very serious. It is like an evil sect. What is even more ironic is that just now they claim to be a righteous sect. Sword Sun Great Elder furiously shouted. Everyone, don't believe his words. Bastard, go die. He furiously rushed over and stabbed towards Qin Yun's head. Qin Yun is standing there motionless. It looks like his body is full of flaws. However, the floating cloud staff in his hand is filled with very strong six-vein divine power, causing the floating cloud staff to unceasingly tremble from the impact. Sword Sun Great Elder's sword stabbed straight towards Qin Yun's forehead. When the sword tip is about an inch away from Qin Yun's forehead, it suddenly stopped. That is because Sword Sun Great Elder has been frozen by Qin Yun's supergravity. Die! The floating cloud staff in Qin Yun's hand violently roared. It vibrated like an explosion. Layer upon layer of ferocious aura shook all around. The staff swept towards Sword Sun Great Elder's waist with incomparably ferocious power. Boom! An explosive sound spread out. Sword Sun Great Elder's upper body was directly torn apart by the berserk power, leaving behind only his head and legs. The rest of his body shattered, ignited in flames, turned into flying ash and rushed in all directions along with the energy wave. Qin Yun's gaze is deep and cold. He is carrying formidable and threatening arrogant potential as he looked at Xiang Yang Hong. Chapter 2196. Looks like you still remember me. The floating cloud rod in Qin Yun's hand smashed towards Xiang Yang Hong with a monstrous might, accompanied by intense flames and lightning. Xiang Yang Hong suddenly regained his senses and quickly summoned a large blue umbrella to block in front of him. When the long rod smashed into the large blue umbrella, Qin Yun was sent flying by a strong shockwave. Xiang Yang Hong's large umbrella cracked from the impact and he flew backwards. Finally, he leaned against a wall and stopped. Xiang Yang Hong is extremely shocked. Others might not know about the Nine Suns heaven-raising pagoda, but he does. That is because the residence of the King of Gods was a very powerful weapon. Later on, it was tempered by the Nine Suns and became extremely sturdy. Only a few people back then had heard of the Nine Suns heaven-raising pagoda. Xiang Yang Hong gripped his origin sword tightly. His eyes filled with fear as he looked at Qin Yun. Back then, Qin Yun was the sect master of one of the Nine Suns sects. He was besieged and destroyed by the other 8 Nine Suns sect. Xiang Yang Hong also participated in the siege, so his memory of Qin Yun's strength is still fresh in his mind. In addition, Qin Yun became the King of Gods and was once again besieged by many people. Xiang Yang Hong and Xiang Junjian were both involved. A few years ago they heard about the rebirth of the King of Pantheon. They also knew that the King of Pantheon had another identity, which was the Nine Yang Palace King named Qin Yun. He had seized the Sun Altar and defeated Xie Yang. Later on, the Heavenly Law Divine Realm was very sure that Qin Yun could not come to the God-level space. But now Qin Yun appeared here. Xiang Yang Hong suddenly recalled many things in his mind. He quickly calmed down and knew that his fear of the person in front of him is because of the past. And now, the person in front of him is no longer the powerful king of gods from back then. Instead, he is reincarnated. His cultivation is only at the Xian God realm. The reason why he is so powerful is because he has some powerful equipment. Elder Xiang, do you need help? The middle-aged man from the primal chaos race asked. No need, I can deal with him. After Xiang Yanghong calmed down, he rushed towards Qin Yun. The sword in his hand is very stable, exuding a threatening sword aura. When Qin Yun saw Xiang Yanghong coming over, he sneered and said, Xiang Yanghong, after so many years, you are still so lame. It's time to settle the score of the past. This time, I'll end you once and for all. Xiang Yanghong burst out laughing confidently. You're asking for it. Many of the people present were puzzled. This was especially so for those from the primordial races. This was because they could tell that Qin Yun and Xiang Yanghong knew each other. Furthermore, there was a deep hatred between them. As Xiang Yangda laughed, he had already stabbed out hundreds of times. Countless sword beams transformed into swords of light that swept towards Qin Yun like a gust of wind. The experts in the surroundings hurriedly released a barrier to prevent the central palace from being destroyed during the battle. Qin Yun opened his sun heavenly shield. He blocked that powerful sword qi. Then, he used his sacred pupil of light to rush over and swung his staff at Xiang Yanghong. The violent divine power was like a real tsunami, crashing into the barrier and creating loud explosions. A single profound god had such a powerful divine power, causing all the experts present to be moved. Even Xian Rujing and Bingxing, who are familiar with Qin Yun, cannot help but feel astonished. That is because they believed that Qin Yun's cultivation is not high and is weaker than theirs. But now it seems like Qin Yun's strength is not as weak as they imagined. Those elders from the primordial races are all watching with grave expression. They all believed that only the primordial races are the strongest races in the divine desolate. They believed that with low cultivation, they could defeat those idiots with high cultivation. However, this nine-son royal family member is only a profound god, yet he is able to fight evenly with Xiang Yanghong, who possesses a powerful race's bloodline. If his cultivation reached great god or heavenly god realm, his divine power would be extremely dreadful. Everyone present knows that Xiang Yanghong is a sacred god. Moreover, he is not an ordinary sacred god. Deity President's expression is grave. He is pondering over something. Just now he heard Xiang Yanghong mention the nine-sun heaven-holding pagoda. As a deity president, he is also from the heavenly creation divine palace, so he is quite familiar with this pagoda. Qin Yun and Xiang Yanghong are fighting very intensely. Every time formidable divine power erupts, it causes people's heart to jump and flesh to jump. Even the people from the primordial races are secretly amazed by Qin Yun's formidable divine power. At this time, an old man from the heavenly creation divine palace said in a low voice, "That young man used 6 types of profound god power and perfectly fused them together. This person is a person with many Tao images, but even so, he shouldn't have such formidable divine power." An old man from the divine inscription palace said with a frown. Ancient alchemy divine sect Master Gu Tianyue is also here. He looked at Deity President and said, "Deity President, that guy from the sword Sun Divine Mountain stole someone else's origin sword. Are you just going to let it go like this?" "Of course I will care. I will investigate the situation clearly and then severely punish them." Deity President is still staring at Qin Yun. He began to suspect that Qin Yun might be the king of gods from back then. Xiang Yanghong is also very strong. After all, he has lived for so long. Furthermore, he has become the sword slave of the myriad world's divine sun and obtained the bloodline of a powerful race. Qin Yun is currently under great pressure because Xiang Yanghong is not as weak as he imagined. If Xiang Yanghong did not obtain the bloodline of a strong race, he would definitely be easy to deal with. The bloodline of a strong race could increase Xiang Yanghong's strength by several times. Ha ha! Let's see how long you can last. Xiang Yanghong laughed and said, "Whether it's back then or today, you will die in my hands." Bing Xing and the others, as well as Xie Wufeng, are all prepared to attack. If they were to make a move, the ancient race would also make a move. This place would be in chaos, and with their strength, it would be very difficult to deal with the ancient race. They knew that Qin Yun is very strong, but they could also tell that Qin Yun does not have the strength to kill Xiang Yanghong. The reason why Qin Yun was able to hold on until now was mainly because of the powerful defense of the Sun-Sky Shield. Otherwise, he would have been torn apart by the terrifying sword energy. The Sun-Sky Shield is very powerful, but after using it many times in a row, he would need to rest for a period of time. He could not use it too frequently. If this continued, Qin Yun would lose. Xiang Yanghong's sword energy is like wind and thunder, tyrannical and chaotic as it landed on Qin Yun's body. At this moment, the defensive power of the Sun-Sky Shield weakened a lot, causing a sword energy to penetrate the energy-formed Sun-Sky Shield and land on Qin Yun's body. Qin Yun's arm was cut by the sharp and powerful sword energy, leaving a bloody mark. Seeing the blood on his arm, the elders of the ancient race immediately sucked in a deep breath of cold air and let out a burst of exclamations. "It's purple blood. That guy has purple blood? Could it be the purple blood of the Nine Sun royal family?" The middle-aged man from the primal chaos race shouted with fanaticism in his eyes. "He's mine." The middle-aged man from the primal chaos race directly rushed over and saw a translucent gray bell suddenly descend. When it landed, everyone on the ground was enveloped by a strong pressure, making it difficult for them to move. 1. The bell rang and Qin Yun was enveloped by a 20-meter-wide bell. "He's mine." The middle-aged man from the primal chaos race laughed loudly. "TCH, this guy is really fast. I was a step slower." The middle-aged man from the divine star race said in displeasure. Xiang Yanghong is somewhat astonished. He looked at the large bell and praised, "Marquis Shi, what is this thing? So awesome!" He did not expect that Qin Yun would be trapped inside the large bell. He promptly gave Yu Shi and the others a look, telling them not to make a move first. Because making a move in this kind of situation is completely useless. That Marquis Shi should be Shi Jian's father. He is actually a marquis from the primal chaos race. Among the ancient race experts present, the highest rank is Marquis. Those dukes and kings are waiting outside for the result. "Marquis," she said with smile. "This is the primal chaos heavenly bell. It is formed from a primal chaos divine Sunday. Even our dukes won't be able to escape after being sealed inside." Shin Ruoming shook his head and sighed. He said, "If this guy had obediently endured, he wouldn't have been captured. He brought this upon himself. I really did not expect that he would have purple blood," Wu Ming said in surprise. Xiang Yanghong originally thought that he would be able to kill Qin Yun, but he did not expect such an accident to occur. He looked at Qin Yun inside the primal chaos heavenly bell and said, "Marquis Shi, what is the use of that guy's purple blood? Some are innately awakened and some are formed after birth. But no matter what, it is a great tonic." Marquis Shi laughed loudly and said, "Elder Xiang, this guy has a grudge with you. I will help you capture him now, then he will be mine. Don't steal from me." Qin Yun is resting inside the primal chaos heavenly bell. Not only does he need to rest, the Nine Sun divine soul also needs to rest. Only in this way can the Sun heavenly shield be in its best condition. Although he is sealed, Qin Yun is incomparably calm. He now has a certain understanding of Xiang Yanghong's strength and is also clear about his situation. The heavenly devil purple blood that he cultivated is an incomparably precious tonic for the elders of other races. Qin Yun has been waiting for an excellent opportunity to kill Xiang Yanghong in one go. Because after killing Xiang Yanghong, he will definitely be besieged. Therefore, he has to keep a backup plan and make a thorough plan. The appearance of the primal chaos heavenly bell is truly unexpected. Otherwise, he would have followed the original plan and killed Xiang Yanghong, then killed a group of people and finally retreated. Xiang Yanghong looked at Qin Yun inside the primal chaos heavenly bell and laughed loudly. Marquis Shi, you might not know who this guy is, but I know that he is the king of gods in the divine desolate land. Moreover, he is the most famous Nine-Sun Palace king in the early stage of the Nine-Sun heavenly domain. King of gods, Nine-Sun Palace king. This immediately shook the entire audience, especially the people of Nine-Sun royal family and Nine-Sun Palace. Granny Qianghua and Qin Huang already knew that Qin Yun is not simple, but they never expected him to be such an existence. Dragon Hall Elder and Sword Hall Elder are even more shocked. They are very familiar with Nine-Sun Palace King. He is someone they worship. Thunder God laughed loudly and said, "So what? Nine-Sun Palace King? Nine-Sun Palace has already declined. King of gods? Who recognizes him as the king of gods now?" Xiang Yanghong sneered, "I'm afraid this guy will die again. The one who will die is you." Chapter 2197. Xie Wufeng's sudden attack caused many people to be surprised, especially Xiang Yanghong. He sensed Xie Wufeng's dreadful sword aura in an instant. They are both sword users and sword cultivators, so Xiang Yanghong is very clear about how formidable Xie Wufeng's sword aura is. He also knows that although Xie Wufeng looks young, his sword Dao attainment is very profound. Xie Wufeng's attack is not because he wants to help Qin Yun but because Sword Sun God Mountain is killing and robbing sword cultivators' origin swords. He is Sword God, he has enough reason to attack. Scram! Xie Wufeng looked at the divine sword race youth and said in cold voice. Their swords clashed against each other at this moment. Sword God of Myriad Realms Divine Court, I heard your sword Dao cultivation is very high. I have long wanted to exchange pointers with you. The divine sword race youth said with arrogant smile. I am Mu Jianchao from the divine sword race. Although Xie Wufeng only has one arm, no one dares to look down on him. I have no interest in fighting you. Xie Wufeng looked at Xiang Yanghong and said sternly, the sword Sun God Mountain stole a sword cultivator's natal sword. Such a heartless act makes them evil cultivators. I have the responsibility to eradicate the evil cultivators from the sword Sun God Mountain. Xie Wufeng fought to stall for time for Qin Yun because he knows that Qin Yun must have a way to escape. Xiang Yanghong promptly said, even if our sword Sun God Mountain's disciples did this kind of behavior, it has nothing to do with our sword Sun God Mountain. Xiang Junjian and Great Elder Sword Sun have already been killed. They received their due punishment. You also have a share, Xie Wufeng shouted. Mu Jianchao yelled. Sword God, Xiang Yanghong is Myriad Realms Divine Sun's sword slave. Without him, Myriad Heaven Divine Sword could not come into being. Xie Wufeng said with sneer. Only mediocre people like you care so much about Myriad Heaven Divine Sword. Mu Jianchao very much wants to compete with Xie Wufeng because everyone knows that Sword God's strength is unfathomable. Xiang Yanghong said to Divine Judge, Divine Judge, quickly stop that guy. Don't let him continue causing trouble. Thunder God said with sneer, Divine Judge, I heard that you are very partial to Sword God, right? Thunder God is very worried that Qin Yun will run out. He betrayed Qin Yun back then and Qin Yun has already begun to take revenge on him. It must be known that Thunder God was previously insulted by Qin Yun, causing his avatar to be placed under house arrest by the Divine Preceptor. Also, his subordinates were targeted by Qin Yun, and then all of them mysteriously disappeared. It was obvious that Qin Yun was secretly behind this. The Divine Judge was in a difficult position, but he still had to ensure absolute fairness. He shouted, Wufeng, step down first. I will definitely give you a satisfactory explanation. Marquis Shi of the Chaos Race shouted, If you don't retreat now, I don't care what god you are, I will kill you all the same. Don't delay the birth of the myriad heavens sword. Xie Wufeng gripped his natal divine sword tightly and looked at Mu Jianchao, who was facing him. What? You want to fight me? Marquis, she sneered and said, Bring it on. The god judge took a step out. In his hands was a large banner. His entire body shone with resplendent divine light as he stood in front of Xie Wufeng. When the myriad heavens divine punishment banner appeared, the elders of the ancient races all revealed expressions of alarm. They are rather afraid of the myriad heavens divine punishment banner. You want to make the myriad heavens divine sword come into being, but you want to use the blood of my clansmen as a sacrifice to the sword. I will make you pay the price. Qin Yun said coldly. Marquis, she arrived beside the primal chaos heaven bell and said with sneer, Don't be arrogant, just obediently stay inside. Don't worry, I won't use your blood as a sacrifice to the sword. Your purple blood is very precious, I will take good care of you. Your blood is my wine. And you, from today onwards, will be my wine pot. Palace King, don't worry about us. You must have a way to escape. Go. The Dragon Palace Elder shouted. Palace King, the revival of the Nine Yang Divine Palace depends on you. The Sword Hall Elder also shouted. They all approve of Qin Yun as the Nine Yang Palace King. The Divine Judge said, With me here, no one can kill the people of the Nine Yang royal family. Qin Yun said, Then why don't you stop them from releasing blood? I will stop them. As long as I am here, I will not allow them to use the people of the Nine Yang royal family as a sacrifice to the sword. A middle-aged man from the Divine Star race laughed loudly and said, Divine Judge, don't think that just because you have a broken flag we are afraid of you. As he laughed, he waved his hand and released a large ball of light beads. These light beads are like resplendent stars, there are a total of 36 of them. They surrounded the Divine Judge and Xie Wufeng. In the blink of an eye, the Divine Judge and Xie Wufeng have been sealed inside a barrier. The Divine Judge immediately became furious. He waved the myriad heavens divine punishment flag and released formidable power, causing the entire Sword Sun Divine Mountain to tremble. Xiang Yang Hong, quickly begin, my great formation can't hold for long. The middle-aged man from the Divine Star race promptly shouted. Xiang Yang Hong looked at the furious Divine Judge, and then rushed towards Qin Huang and the others. 9 Yang royal family people have been captured, a total of 300 people, all of them have pretty good bloodline. Qin Yun originally thought that the Divine Judge would be of some use here, but now he has been sealed. This means that the blood of the 9 Yang royal family people will be sacrificed to the sword. At this time, Yu Shi sent sound transmission to Qin Yun. Xiao Yun, our people will be sacrificed to the sword. I have no choice but to take action. After all, I am the 9 Yang royal family's clan emperor. Xiao Shi, wait for me. I will be able to leave immediately. Qin Yun replied. Xiang Yang Hong grabbed Qin Huang and said with evil grin, This guy is Qin Huang, a very good heavenly god. Let's use his blood first. Qin Huang has been bound by chains made from talisman tools. His body is sealed and he can't release any power. Xiang Yang Hong grabbed Qin Huang and brought him to the side of the flame essence pool. Then he placed Qin Huang's head inside the flame essence pool. The long sword slid across Qin Huang's neck and started to bleed. Qin Huang is very angry, but he is powerless to struggle. Qin Yun, Xie Wufeng, Divine Judge, Yu Shi and others are all extremely angry. Now Qin Huang is like a chicken being slaughtered. His throat is being cut open and his blood is being let out. Divine Star Race, Primal Chaos Race and Divine Sword Race's people all laughed loudly. They hate 9 Yang royal family very much because they are worried that 9 Yang royal family will become the strongest race under Myriad Realms. Divine Sunday Qin Yun sensed that the 9 Sun Divine Spirit has rested enough and suddenly let out a loud shout. Everyone immediately looked at the huge primal chaos heavenly bell. They saw 9 altars floating inside it. Seeing those 9 altars, Xiang Yanghong immediately cried out in fear. Those are the 9 sun altars, they are all in his hands. Those 9 altars are very strong, what is he trying to do? Thunder God also cried out in fear. Those 9 altars belong to our 9 sun sects, we must take them back. Heavenly Mountains sect master shouted. They also discovered that those 9 altars have dragon runes carved on them. With a glance, they can tell that they have been greatly improved. Marquis, she said with calm expression. Don't worry, he won't be able to break the primal chaos heavenly bell. Quickly bring out the myriad heaven divine sword. Although the 9 altars have become very small, they are still very powerful. Moreover, as they revolved around Qin Yun, they are absorbing formidable energy from his body. Qin Yun used the 9 Sun Divine Spirit to absorb the Divine Universe Purple Sun's energy and then released it into the 9 altars to activate the 9 Dragon Heavenly Origin formation. The Divine Universe Purple Sun's formidable energy is then transferred to the altars through the 9 Sun Divine Spirit on Qin Yun's wrist. If not for Qin Yun's powerful body, he would not have been able to withstand it. Divine Dragon soars to the heavens. Qin Yun activated one of the 9 Dragon Heavenly Origin formations, killing formation. 9 kinds of light rays condensed into a 9-colored huge dragon that soared into the sky. The Divine Universe Purple Sun's energy became incomparably powerful through the 9 Dragon Heavenly Origin formations' condensed power. The transformed Divine Dragon burst out with waves of domineering dragon might. Roar! The Divine Dragon roared, its huge dragon head smashed into the primal chaos heavenly bell. Boom! Following the explosion of an incomparably loud bell, everyone in the middle hall felt their ears ringing. The middle hall shook violently as a violent energy wave surged out from the primal chaos heavenly bell. Everyone present shuddered in fear from the terrifying energy. Even the elders from the powerful races were frightened by the power. Of course, their hearts were filled with greed. They wanted to snatch the 9 Dragon Heavenly Origin formation. The primal chaos heavenly bell had not been smashed, but the energy within it had already surged out. Don't let him come out! Xiang Yanghong shouted in fear. The might of the 9 altars combined and the formidable power that erupted out was terrifying. Thunder God and the other big shots of the 9 Suns sects had come into contact with those altars before. They never expected that after Qin Yun refined them, they would have such terrifying power. Marquis, she shouted, don't even think of breaking through. My primal chaos heavenly bell is invincible. Just as he finished speaking, the 9 Dragon Heavenly Origin formation erupted once again and a gigantic 9-colored divine dragon appeared. Roar! The dragon's roar was filled with rage. Following that, an incomparably violent shockwave surged through the entire middle hall. The primal chaos heavenly bell had been breached. Everyone was so shocked that they started shouting loudly. At the instant it was broken, everyone present felt the powerful Divine Universe Purple Chi. It's the Divine Universe Purple Chi? That guy controls a large number of Divine Universe Purple crystals. Someone shouted in alarm. Xiang Yanghong was alarmed because the moment the primal chaos heavenly bell was broken, he felt a powerful killing intent lock onto him. Quick, stop him! Xiang Yanghong shouted and immediately fled to the door. Qin Yun was surrounded by 9 altars. The 9 Dragon Heavenly Origin formation formed a barrier that protected him and also provided him with immense power. After the furious Qin Yun broke through the primal chaos heavenly bell, he used the light transformation sacred pupil to flash to Xiang Yanghong's side. Xiang Yanghong, who was alarmed, summoned his intrinsic divine sword and stabbed at Qin Yun. Qin Yun held the floating cloud staff in his hand and absorbed the energy from the 9 Dragon Heavenly Origin formation. Die. Chapter 2198. Marquis, she swore that his Chaos Heavenly Bell was very sturdy and could not be broken. But at that moment it had been smashed to pieces. Therefore, the most furious person was Marquis Shi. He roared angrily and immediately charged at Qin Yun. The Chaos Heavenly Bell was mainly composed of materials from within the Chaos Divine Sun, and the divine power released by the 9 dragons' heavenly origin formation came from the divine universe Purple Sunday. It could be seen that the Chaos Divine Sun's divine power was suppressed by the divine universe Purple Sunday. When Marquis Shi charged over, the Chaos Race, Divine Star Race, Divine Sword Race, Thunder God and many other experts followed closely behind. This was because they could tell that Qin Yun was very strong. Not only did he possess purple blood, he was also the 9 Yang Palace King and the King of Gods. With such a foundation and completely unafraid of the powerful races, they had to act decisively and get rid of Qin Yun as soon as possible. As the experts charged over, all sorts of violent divine power surged and bombarded Qin Yun from all directions. Qin Yun's body was surrounded by 9 small altars. The 9 Yang Divine Spirit released the powerful Divine Universe Purple Sun power to maintain the 9 dragons' heavenly origin formations operation. Combined with the Sun Heavenly Shield, it formed a very powerful defense. All sorts of powerful divine power bombarded Qin Yun's body in wave after wave, setting off an incomparably ferocious shock wave. Qin Yun's position was at the door of the central hall, not in the middle. Everyone's attention was focused on Qin Yun. As for Yu Shi and company, they immediately went to break the barrier that sealed the Sword Hall Elder and the others, allowing them to escape. Among the powerful primordial races, only the elders of the Divine Star Race, Chaos Race and Divine Sword Race took action. The youngsters watched from afar because there was no room for them to intervene in such a battle. It had to be said that the central hall was very sturdy. As expected of the place where the myriad heaven's divine sword was forged. It had not been destroyed even after such an intense battle. At the central hall's door, all sorts of surging divine power roared and surged, flashing with divine power light of all sorts of colors. Many experts attacked Qin Yun, and they were all from powerful races. This made the youngsters of the powerful races shudder in fear. If it were anyone else, they would have died long ago. However, Marquis Shi and company failed to crack Qin Yun's defenses despite their combined attack. When Shi Jianzi saw Yu Shi and the others going to save the people from the 9 Yang royal family and 9 Yang temple, he quickly shouted to Mu Jianchao and the other youths beside him, "Those women from Moon Palace are trying to save people, let's go and stop them. Those women are really not bad. Whoever can grab them can keep them." Mu Jianchao laughed loudly and said, "Before coming here, Mu Jianchao and Shi Jianzi asked Sword Sun Great Elder if they wanted to hand over Lu Yu, Shu Yan and Bing Xing to them. However, the Sword Sun Divine Mountain's Grand Elder had said that the Sword Sun Divine Mountain wouldn't be able to do anything with the Divine Judge protecting them. Now that the Grand Inquisitor was sealed, no matter what they did, the Grand Inquisitor couldn't do anything to them." Shi Jianzi grinned as he rushed towards Yu Shi and shouted, "Little beauty, I'm coming." Yu Shi once fused with the soul of heaven creating palace master Yu Tian and obtained the rune memories of heaven creating palace master. Therefore, she is now also an inscription master and needs her to break the barrier. Scram! Lu Yu Shuyan suddenly flew over with a red long saber in her hand and hacked at Shi Jianzi. Dreadful killing intent pervaded the air, accompanied by the saber edge, rushed towards Shi Jianzi. Shi Jianzi's expression slightly changed. He did not expect that these women would be so formidable. He had no choice but to retreat. Mu Jianchao, who was just about to rush over, was also stared at by Bing Xing's ice-cold and formidable divine power. His entire body immediately turned cold, causing him to not dare to rush over. Other powerful race youngsters can all sense Bing Xing and Lu Yu Shuyan's dreadful divine power. Shin Ruoming, your strength is not weak, quickly attack. If these women let go of those 9 Sun royal family people, we won't have any blood to sacrifice to our swords. Shi Jianze promptly shouted after being beaten back. There are 3 Sun Divine Maiden over there, you want me to throw away my life? Shen Ruoming groaned. 3 Sun Divine Maiden. This caused the expression of Shi Jianze and other powerful race youngsters to greatly change, their eyes are filled with fear. They now understand why this kind of divine power is so dreadful, it is actually 9 Sun Divine Maiden. While Shi Jianze and others are in shock, they suddenly felt a very powerful killing intent envelop them. By the time they reacted, they felt their bodies sink, they are being pressed down by an extremely heavy power. Spatial fluctuations surged over, Qin Yun actually appeared behind Shi Jianze. Qin Yun used the Heaven Extinction Steps Transcending Space Step. Combined with spatial power, he can cross space. Just now, he noticed that Shi Jianze and others were about to attack Bing Xing and others, so he immediately transcended space, from the 9-dragon heavenly origin formation and arrived behind Shi Jianze. As for Marquis Shi and the other seniors, they are still attacking the 9-dragon heavenly origin formation and did not notice Qin Yun's appearance. Shi Jianze saw Qin Yun suddenly appear behind him and shouted as if he had seen a ghost. You lowly bastards also want to have any ideas about 9 Sun Divine Maiden? Qin Yun shouted in a deep voice, his long rod smashed down. Boom! With an explosive sound, Shi Jianze, the son of a primal chaos race marquis, was directly smashed into pieces. Shen Ruoming and Mo Dutian, the 2 young experts from powerful races, immediately felt their hearts jump. In any case, Shi Jianze was the son of a marquis and a baron, yet he was killed with a single rod strike. Mu Jianchao had already thrust his sword at Shi Jianze earlier. When he saw Shi Jianze being smashed into pieces, he felt endless fear in his heart. He wanted to escape, but his body is being pressed down by a very strong gravity. His speed is not fast at all. Boom! The God King spear in Qin Yun's hand shot out a bullet and directly penetrated Mu Jianchao's head. After the bullet penetrated Mu Jianchao's head, it immediately returned and once again penetrated Mu Jianchao's heart before returning to the God King spear. It's you, the one who killed our 3 sword kings and war gods! Mu Jianchao suddenly shouted in alarm. Because when the God King spear shot out a bullet, the aura it released is very familiar to him. Previously, Divine Sword Race's fiery red warship's large mirror was shattered by Qin Yun's God King spear. Idiot, I'll send you to meet them now. Qin Yun's light transformation sacred eyes flashed. His body arrived behind Mu Jianchao like a light beam and ruthlessly smashed down with his rod. Mu Jianchao's body directly exploded into flames. Just like Shi Jianze, he was directly smashed into pieces. The God King spear in Qin Yun's hand suddenly shot crazily at the youths of the Divine Star Race, Divine Sword Race and Primal Chaos Race. Those bullets could all fly back and then be shot out again. Those who weren't strong enough were instantly turned into beehives by the random bullets, especially the people from the 9 Suns sect and the Heavenly Law Divine Realm. Marquis Shi and the rest of the seniors also reacted at this moment and immediately rushed towards Qin Yun. I'm going to eat you alive. Marquis Shi's face was ferocious as he shouted angrily. When Qin Yun saw them coming over, he immediately used the Void Step and once again traversed through space, returning to the 9 Dragons' heavenly origin formation. Eat me alive? Just you guys can only go eat shit. Qin Yun laughed loudly. Xiang Yang Hong, who was sent flying just now, felt extreme fear in his heart. He shouted, "Ignore him, hurry up and sacrifice the sword, let the divine sword be born, only the divine sword of the heavens can destroy him." Just as he finished speaking, Qin Yun fired a bullet from the God King's spear inside the 9 Dragons' heavenly origin formation. That bullet was refined from the divine universe golden stone. After it was shot out, it immediately exploded with a very strong divine power. Rumble, 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 an incomparably terrifying explosion of divine power set off a large expanse of golden flames. Feeling the divine power, the seniors present all knew that it was at least a relatively large piece of divine universe golden stone that had exploded. This kind of spending was simply extravagant. Everyone suddenly felt that it was worth it for Xiang Yang Hong to be killed by such a piece of divine universe golden stone. The nameless old man knew that Qin Yun had a lot of divine universe golden stones in his hands, but he still felt a little heartache for Qin Yun. If it wasn't for this critical moment, Qin Yun wouldn't have used such a bullet. Xiang Yang Hong was dead, not even dregs were left. Qin Yun was still within the 9 dragons' heavenly origin formations barrier. With the 9 powerful altars protecting him, they couldn't do anything to him. Yu Shi and the others were only from the 9 Sun royal family and the 9 Sun divine palace. The divine star race, primal chaos race and divine sword races youths have suffered heavy casualties. Their bodies have been pierced with many holes by Qin Yun's divine king spear. Especially Marquis Shi, his son actually died just like that. And Mu Jianchao's father is an earl. The divine sword race's earl angrily said to Qin Yun, "You are dead for sure. You killed 3 of our sword kings and war gods. Our kings will definitely take action." Qin Yun currently doesn't have enough strength. Otherwise, with the help of the 9 dragons' heavenly origin formation, he would definitely be able to kill the seniors of these powerful races. Fortunately, the powerful ancient races did not attack together. The divine moon race, heavenly devil god race, divine heaven race and 9 sun heavenly race are just watching from the side. They now have a general understanding of Qin Yun's strength. They know that this 9 sun palace king is not someone to be trifled with. Boom! The 36 small stars surrounding the Grand Inquisitor suddenly exploded. The divine judge's face is filled with anger. He looked at the group of divine star race people and angrily said, "You dare to attack me!" When the group of divine star race people saw the 36 small stars explode, their faces revealed looks of horror. The divine judge is holding the mighty heaven's divine punishment flag in his hand. He is extremely angry and directly charged towards the group of divine star race people. Qin Yun is secretly delighted because the opportunity has come. At this moment, he directly arrived beside Thunder God with the 9 dragons' heavenly origin formation. "My good disciple, it's time for you to repay what you owe your master," Qin Yun said coldly. Everyone is extremely shocked. Thunder God is actually the king of God's disciple? "I am Thunder God, I have a god position. You dare to kill me?" Thunder God laughed loudly and said, "Forget about you, even the divine judge can't directly kill me." Just as he finished speaking, Qin Yun took out the divine king heavenly seal. When the divine king heavenly seal appeared, Thunder God's smile suddenly stopped. "Then I will first take away your Thunder God position." Qin Yun controlled the formation's power and imprisoned Thunder God, making him unable to move. Then, the divine king heavenly seal directly imprinted on Thunder God's forehead. Chapter 2199. The appearance of the godly monarch heavenly mark left Thunder God extremely surprised. This was because he always believed that the godly monarch heavenly mark no longer existed. The God Judge was also very surprised. Not only was the God King heavenly imprint still there, it was also very powerful, able to strip away a deity position. Qin Yun used the Divine King heavenly seal to extract the Thunder God's deity position from Thunder God's body. This is only half of Thunder God's deity position. But after being stripped, Thor still felt great pain. Godhood was fused with the soul. For an old god like the Thunder God, his godhood had long since become a part of his soul. Stripping the deity seat was like tearing the Thunder God's soul apart. Qin Yun held the godly monarch heavenly seal tightly. With a thought, Thunder God's deity position automatically left his soul and flew into the godly monarch heavenly seal. Thunder God thought that he could still put up a few more moves, but before he could do anything, his godhood was stripped away. Qin Yun also has a powerful mental power. Otherwise, his progress would not have been so smooth. Through the divine Moon Dao image, he had opened up the profound God Dao meridian, allowing him to obtain an incomparably powerful mental force. Only then could he use the Divine King Heavenly Seal to strip away a strong God's divine position. Thunder God endured a heart-wrenching pain and let out a blood-curdling scream that made everyone's scalp go numb. What kind of pain was that to make an old god scream like that? Thunder God's original body had been stripped of his divine position, which was equivalent to being crippled. His soul had been severely damaged, and he had lost all of his combat strength. Back then, you betrayed me. Did you expect this day to come? Qin Yun's ice-cold voice was filled with dignity and anger. Thinking back to the time when he was betrayed by the god of thunder and the goddess of love, it was as if it had happened just yesterday. Thunder God's face is filled with pain as he looked at Qin Yun and roared, "You are an enemy of the heavenly Tao. No matter how many lifetimes you live, there is only death for you." Qin Yun's divine king Heavenly Seal suddenly became bigger. It became like a small house and fiercely pressed down. Thunder God was suppressed by the divine king Heavenly Seal, but he did not die immediately. Instead, he was tortured by the Heavenly Seal's heavenly punishment until he wished he was dead. After the deity king Heavenly Seal pressed down, it turned Thunder God into a pile of ashes. Thunder, fire, and wind billowed out in all directions. Thunder God's main body was dead, but he still had a clone imprisoned in the myriad world's divine court. This meant that he would have to die again and experience this pain again. Thunder God's tragic death also caused many people's hearts to tremble. The Grand Inquisitor had already broken out of the seal. If anyone else wanted to kill the God of Thunder, the Grand Inquisitor would definitely stop them. Because no matter what, only the Myriad Realms' divine court had the right to punish the gods of the Myriad Realms. But now, the person who attacked Thunder God had a godly king Heavenly Seal in his hands, and was once Thunder God's master. Back then, the King of Gods had wielded the mysterious and powerful Heavenly Seal of the God King. Even the Grand Inquisitor had felt the terrifying heavenly might of the God King. "We have a duke out there, Grand Inquisitor. If you don't want things to get ugly, don't interfere." Marquis Creek looked at the Grand Inquisitor. The All Heavens Divine Punishment flag of the Divine Judge was very powerful. It was through the divine power of this flag that he broke the Divine Star Race's formation. In the Central Hall, most of the people from Sword Sun God Mountain were dead. Especially Grand Elder Xiang Yang Hong, the sword slave of the Myriad Realms' Divine Son. His soul has already flown away and scattered. Without him, no one knew how the All Heavens Divine Sword would be born. However, the huge fireball floating above the flame pool in the middle of the hall is the sword embryo that nurtured the All Heavens Divine Sword. The All Heavens Divine Sword is still inside. Next, it only needs to be sacrificed to break out of the embryo. The Grand Inquisitor said coldly, "Divine Star Race, why did you seal me just now? I'm not afraid of your Duke. If you have the guts, let them come in." The young people of the Divine Star Race were also killed by Qin Yun's spear. The casualties were disastrous. The Divine Star Race also has a Marquis here. Just now, it was that Marquis who attacked. He is feeling extremely pained because those 36 stars are very precious. Grand Inquisitor, quickly get out of the way. Don't block us. Marquis, she glared at Qin Yun. His son was killed here. Moreover, quite a few of his Primal Chaos Race's young people have also died. As a Marquis of the Primal Chaos Race, he is currently unable to do anything to their enemy. This is truly incomparably sullen. Just as the two sides are in a deadlock, the fireball in the flame pool suddenly trembled. The sword embryo is moving. We need to quickly sacrifice blood to the sword. If we don't quickly sacrifice the sword embryo will explode. The Divine Sky Race middle-aged man anxiously shouted. Shin Ruoming looked at Qin Yun and said, If the sword embryo explodes, no one will be able to obtain the All Heaven's divine sword. At that time, this mountain will also be destroyed and no more powerful swords will be born. What? Don't tell me you want me to sacrifice blood to the sword? Qin Yun said with smile. You are the Nine-Sun Palace King, and also a purple blood person from the Nine-Sun royal family. If it is only your blood, it will definitely be enough to sacrifice the sword. Don't you want the All Heaven's divine sword? Shen Ruoming said. Qin Yun said with smile. If I sacrifice the sword, then the All Heaven's divine sword will very likely be mine. Don't you want it very much? Why do you want me to participate? You might not be able to obtain it. Shen Ruoming smiled confidently. My divine sky race's heavenly sword king passed me a secret technique that will allow me to obtain the All Heaven's divine sword. Qin Yun said with smile. You are truly confident. Xie Wufeng said in low voice. Old brother Yun, the All Heaven's divine sword is very strong. Whether it is useful to you or not, you must try your best to obtain it. Hearing Xie Wufeng's words, Qin Yun also wants to give it a try. He wants to see if he can obtain the All Heaven's divine sword in passing. Then he said to the divine judge, Divine judge, you block them, I will go sacrifice the sword. After saying that, he immediately rushed towards the lava pond. At this time, divine sky race, divine moon race, Nine-Sun heavenly race and heavenly devil god races people also arrived at the side of the lava pond. Mo Fans Han said with smile. Little friend, although we know each other, my heavenly devil god race will not give in to the All Heaven's divine sword. Divine moon race's Yu Liyuan also said with smile. I also came here for the All Heaven's divine sword, I will do my best to obtain it. There is no need to talk about divine sky race's side, they will definitely help Shen Ruoming obtain it. And on the Nine-Sun heavenly race's side, the nameless old man and two other old men also have determined expressions on their faces. As for divine star race, primal chaos race and divine sword race, they are all blocked by the divine judge. Of course, they are not worried because they know that once the All Heaven's divine sword appears, it will be very violent. Even if they get close, they might not be able to obtain it. Xie Wufeng, Yu Shi and Bing Xing are all beside Qin Yun to protect him. Xian Rujing and Luiyue Shuyan are in charge of protecting Nine-Sun Divine Palace and Nine-Sun Royal Race's people. Qin Yun has already started bleeding. He let out a large amount of purple blood into the lava pond. Purple blood is indeed very powerful. Not long after he started bleeding, the huge fireball-like sword embryo began trembling. There is a reaction. Is it coming out soon? The nameless old man said in low voice. Qin Yun suddenly opened his heavenly eye and looked inside the sword embryo. There is an embryonic form of a sword inside the sword embryo. It is currently absorbing a large amount of purple blood and lava. This lava is formed by the sword Sun God Mountain's natural formation, absorbing the energy of myriad worlds' divine suns. Ling Yuner suddenly said, Xiao Yun, the sword body is not completely formed, but it will be formed very soon. You better put the 9 desolate divine saber inside now. Qin Yun's heart stirred. He promptly took out the 9 desolate divine saber. It must be known that the 9 desolate divine saber is fused with a bloodline heavenly pattern box. Therefore, the 9 desolate divine saber also has the ability of the bloodline heavenly pattern box. It is a very strong fusion ability. Yu Shi is beside Qin Yun. She saw Qin Yun take out the 9 desolate divine saber and roughly guessed what he wants to do. Therefore, she promptly took out the 9-Sun Emperor sword. The moment the 9-Sun Emperor sword appeared, the dreadful Emperor power caused Shen Ruoming to be horrified. How can the 9-Sun Emperor sword be in your hands? Shen Ruoming asked in alarm. After Qin Yun took out the 9 desolate divine saber, he stabbed at the fireball-like sword embryo. What are you doing? Shen Ruoming cried out in alarm. Those few divine heaven race elders are also extremely furious. They wish they could slap Qin Yun to death. But Qin Yun is surrounded by 9 altars. The 9-dragon heavenly origin formation can be activated at any time. They are unable to kill Qin Yun. Qin Yun said with smile. The myriad heaven divine sword is having a hard time giving birth. I am just helping. While letting out blood, he inserted the 9 desolate divine saber into the sword embryo. The process is very smooth. The 9 desolate divine saber entered the sword embryo. The divine heaven race elder said with sneer, "Serves you right, if you were not meddlesome, you would not have lost such a good saber." Qin Yun's saber is very good, all the elders present can see it. But it has been devoured by the sword embryo. Qin Yun laughed in his heart. It is still unknown who will be devoured by who. Then he took out the Gemini treasure mirror and used the mysterious fusion heavenly runes power to illuminate the sword embryo. He continued to let out blood. Losing a large amount of purple blood made him very weak. Fortunately, he has a very powerful divine universe purple sun inside his 9-sun divine soul. Through the 9-dragon heavenly origin formation, he can absorb the divine universe purple sun's energy, allowing him to quickly produce powerful purple blood. The sword embryo's movement is getting bigger and bigger, its rotation speed is getting faster and faster, crazily absorbing purple blood and flame essence. The sword embryo suddenly became bigger, a formidable energy accompanied it and set off an incomparably scorching flame wave. Most of the people beside the flame essence pond are very strong, they can all block this flame wave. Through the heavenly eye, Qin Yun can see that what is gradually forming inside the sword embryo is not a sword but a long saber. Its shape is more or less the same as the 9 desolate divine saber. He placed the 9 desolate divine saber inside the sword embryo. It is like reincarnation. It directly swallowed and fused with the original myriad heaven divine saber. It's coming out. Shinruaming is very excited. His ice-cold and stinky face is now showing an excited smile. He promptly took out more than 10 divine talismans. Those divine talismans revolved around his body, forming a circle. It seems like a kind of sealing secret technique that can allow him to seal the myriad heaven divine saber. This kind of secret technique was created by the divine heaven race's heavenly sword royal noble. It seems to be very powerful. The fireball-like sword embryo suddenly trembled. It looks like it will explode at any moment. The flame essence inside the flame essence pond has been completely absorbed. The purple blood Qin Yun released is still pouring into the sword embryo. Boom! The sword embryo fiercely shook. Violent flame waves surged out in all directions. The sword embryo has been cut open, but what has appeared is not a sword, but a saber. This saber is very similar to the one Qin Yun used just now. The only difference is that the runes on the saber's surface have changed greatly. Chapter 2200. Shinruaming is very confident in obtaining the myriad heaven divine sword. It can be said that he is determined to obtain it. This is mainly because he has the full support of his divine heaven clan's heavenly sword king. Just as he was excitedly waiting for the birth of the myriad heaven divine sword, an accident occurred. Seeing the appearance of the saber, everyone immediately understood why Qin Yun deliberately let his saber enter the sword embryo. Clearly, he wants to borrow the sword embryo to produce an even stronger saber. Shinruaming looked at Qin Yun with a face full of anger. He is so angry that his gaze can kill. If he did not restrain himself, he might have already attacked. Furthermore, he does not have a certain amount of confidence in defeating Qin Yun. Qin Yun's 9-dragon heavenly origin formation is very strong. Not to mention Shinruaming, even if Marquis Shi and the other elders take action, they would not be able to take down Qin Yun. I'm really sorry, this saber is mine. Qin Yun faintly smiled, then with a wave of his hand, the saber flew into his hand. When he sacrificed the sword, he used Qin Yun's purple blood and that saber originally belonged to him. Now that the saber has swallowed the myriad heaven divine sword, it is naturally under his control. You! Shin Ruoming is so angry that his face turned green. Shin Ruoming's current mood is very good. For example, when his wife gave birth, he was bitterly waiting for the big fat boy to give birth. He did not expect that he would give birth to a tortoise, and this tortoise is someone else's. The most infuriating thing is that the main culprit is happily laughing at the side. After Qin Yun held the 9 desolate divine saber, he said with a smile, "What should I call this saber? Let's call it myriad heaven divine saber." Most of the elders of the ancient races have extremely ugly expressions. They came here for the myriad heaven divine sword. But now the myriad heaven divine sword has become a saber, and they don't even have the chance to snatch it. The ones who suffered the most are the primal chaos race, divine sword race and divine star race. They also have a large group of young people who suffered heavy casualties. I used my blood to sacrifice my saber. If this saber is not mine, then whose is it? Qin Yun laughed loudly. He looked at Shin Ruoming and the others and said with a smile, "To be honest, I am still very grateful to you guys. If you didn't let me sacrifice my saber, I would not have this opportunity." Qin Yun really did not plan on vying for the myriad heaven divine sword, but he had no other choice. The opportunity had presented itself to him. He had no choice but to reject it. Marquis Shi and the other seniors who had besieged Qin Yun wanted to rush over to kill Qin Yun and snatch the saber. Because in their eyes, swords and sabers were the same kind of divine weapons. Regardless of whether it was suitable for them to use or not, they had to snatch it first. But none of them dared to go over. Only Shin Ruoming's heart had already dimmed. It could be said that he was utterly disappointed. However, the elders of the Divine Sky tribe didn't place as much emphasis on sabers or swords as Shin Ruoming did. In their eyes, even a saber was a very powerful weapon. They wanted to obtain it. It doesn't matter if you were the king of the Nine Yang Palace or the king of the gods in the past, you are currently just a fellow at the profound god realm. Even if you have the purple blood and are from the Nine Sons royal family, in our eyes, you are still not worthy of this divine saber. A middle-aged man from the Divine Sky race looked at Qin with a sharp gaze. Clouds. Qin Yun remembered that this middle-aged man was called Shin Chonghao. He was from Shin Ruoming's clan. "I'm not worthy? Don't forget who was the one who bled it," Qin Yun said with sneer. "You guys can't even bear to bleed, yet you forced me to do it. If I don't have the qualifications, who does?" Most of the people who wanted to snatch the myriad heaven divine sword were from powerful ancient races. They all had very powerful blood, but they were worried that when they sacrificed their blood to the sword would devour all of their blood. They were even worried that their bloodline would be stripped away. Therefore, they didn't dare to try it themselves. The divine judge also felt that Qin Yun's words were reasonable and said, "I suggested before that when sacrificing the sword, everyone bleed together. After the divine sword comes into being, everyone will obtain the divine sword based on their own ability. Later on, you let one person sacrifice to the sword. Then when the divine sword comes into being, it will definitely recognize that person." Qin Yun never expected that the divine judge would make such a proposal before. Bing Xing said with sneer, "But those guys are all afraid of death. They are worried that when sacrificing to the sword, they will throw their lives away. They don't even dare to bleed. What right do they have to say that others are not worthy of that saber?" "Exactly," Yushi said with sneer. "These guys are truly ridiculous." Shin Chonghao said in cold voice, "Whether it is the divine saber or the divine sword, we will do our best to obtain it. Then come." The 9 altars revolving around Qin Yun suddenly flickered with intense light. Just now, Shin Chonghao saw Marquis Shi and others madly attacking the 9-dragon heavenly origin formation. It will be very difficult to break it in a short period of time. Only if those powerful dukes outside take action will they be able to break it in a short period of time. The myriad heaven divine sword has come into being. Although it has become a divine saber, it already has an owner. This matter can come to an end. The divine judge's voice is cold and filled with a burst of powerful might. He swept his eyes over everyone and said, "Today's dispute, I ask you to temporarily put it down. In the future, you can settle your grudges elsewhere. You cannot start a war in front of me. Divine Judge, those divine star people sealed you just now, are you not going to beat them up?" Qin Yun said. Those few divine star people's expression changed. If the divine judge gets angry, they would be very afraid. Because the formation formed by their 36 small stars was destroyed by the divine judge. The stars they used to seal me were all very precious. They were destroyed by me, so we can be considered even. The divine judge's gaze is stern as he looked at the few divine star people. If there's a next time, I won't be polite. Marquis Shi's low voice is filled with dense killing intent. He said, "That guy killed my son. He also killed the Supreme Elder and a large group of Sword Sun God Mountain disciples. He massacred them right in front of you. Are you going to let him off just like that? Aren't you the incorruptible and impartial divine judge?" Lu Yu Shuyan said with a mocking smile. If it wasn't for the divine star people sealing the divine judge, the Nine-Yang Palace King wouldn't have the chance to start a massacre. In the end, it's still the divine star race's fault. Marquis Shi, think about it carefully. If the divine judge wasn't sealed, do you think the Nine-Yang Palace King would have the chance to kill your son? Lu Yu Shuyan's words caused Marquis Shi and the others to be speechless. The divine judge coldly snorted, "I represent the order. If I am sealed, no one will maintain the order. Then, whatever happens, of course you will bear the consequences. Every debt has its debtor. Go find the divine star race." Xie Wufeng said. The god star race was cursing in their hearts. Their losses weren't small either, especially those 36 stars. They had directly exploded, but now they had to take the blame. All the powerful ancient races present are dissatisfied. The main reason is because they did not obtain the benefits they wanted. Divine Sky Race's Shin Changhao shouted, "Don't worry about this, we must obtain that saber. Then come and snatch it." Qin Yun is already prepared to fight. He is not the least bit afraid of the Divine Sky Race. The 9 desolate divine saber in his hand has devoured the myriad heaven divine sword and evolved into the myriad heaven divine saber. It has become very strong. It is no longer as easy to damage as before. After Shen Ruoming was disappointed for a while, he quickly stabilized his mood. He looked at Qin Yun and asked, "What's your name? Don't say you are the Nine-Yang Palace King, let alone the God King. Right now, no one recognizes you as the God King." "My name is Qin Yun," Qin Yun said. "Qin Yun, right? All right, I want to fight you." Shen Ruoming said word by word. "All right, let's fight." Qin Yun is not afraid of Shen Ruoming at all. "You are not allowed to use weapons or that great formation." Shen Changhao shouted, "Do you dare?" Qin Yun laughed loudly a few times and said, "I don't need weapons or great formation. Shen Ruoming, don't use your hands and feet, don't use your head. How about it? Do you dare?" Everyone also feels that Divine Sky Race's request is very funny. Qin Yun's cultivation is so low, but he can be so unrestrained here because of the 9-dragon heavenly origin formation. And the 9-dragon heavenly origin formation was created by Qin Yun using his own ability. It can be considered a part of his strength. "Let's have a fair fight," Shen Ruoming said very confidently. "If you win, you can do whatever you want to me." Mo Dutian laughed and said, "Shen Ruoming, you are not a beauty, what can he do to you? You are truly too confident, do you really think that men are interested in you?" Shen Ruoming's expression suddenly turned cold. He wished he could stab Mo Dutian's mouth with his sword. Xie Wufeng is beside Qin Yun, he said in low voice. Brother Yun, that guy is a sword cultivator. His sword is also very strong. If you fight a sword cultivator without equipment, you should be clear about what kind of situation you will face. Qin Yun nodded and said, My cultivation is low and I am not a sword cultivator. If they don't let me use equipment, there is no need to fight. I will just directly admit defeat. If you don't fight, you are not allowed to leave. Xin Changhao said, Our divine sky race are also reasonable people. Don't force us to use rough methods to snatch. A3. You are reasonable, but I am an honest person. I don't understand your reasoning. Qin Yun shook his head and sighed. Xin Changhao said, Nine-Yang Palace King, if your Nine-Yang Divine Palace wants to stay in Divine Desolate, you better agree to our request. Are you threatening me? Qin Yun's calm gaze suddenly flickered with sharp light. His killing intent became incomparably overbearing. No, if you win against Shin Ruoming, my divine sky race can protect your Nine-Yang Divine Palace for 10 years. Xin Changhao said, If today's matter spreads out, do you think your Nine-Yang Divine Palace will be at peace? Qin Yun thought about it carefully. If he had Divine Sky Race's protection, it would be pretty good. I am willing to fight Shin Ruoming. If I lose, I will hand over my Divine Saber to you. If I win, Divine Sky Race will protect my Nine-Yang Divine Palace for 10 years and give me the best Divine Sky Race Bloodline Divine Origin. Qin Yun said, Bloodline Divine Origin is not particularly precious to strong races, otherwise Mo Dutian would not have been able to obtain it. Chapter 2201. Qin Yun's Shin Ruoming's eyes lit up with hope and he can't help but reveal a simple and honest smile. Qin Yun has seen many people like Shin Ruoming who are filled with hope and confidence. What he likes to do the most is to completely shatter the hope and confidence of such people. I have been letting out blood for a long time and lost a lot of it. Let me rest, can't you? Qin Yun said. How long? Is 1 hour enough? Shen Changhao said. Enough. Qin Yun took out the floating cloud pagoda and entered it. He really wants to rest, but it is not because he lost a lot of blood. He lost a lot of purple blood, but with the Divine Universe Purple Sun's energy, he recovered very quickly. It can be said that he did not consume much energy. Qin Yun only wants to let the Nine Sun Divine Spirit rest. Because the Nine Sun Divine Spirit constantly absorbs the Divine Universe Purple Sun's energy and cooperates with the Nine Dragon Heavenly Origin formation, it will cause damage to the runes inside the Nine Sun Divine Spirit. In addition, Qin Yun needs to prepare to face the elders of powerful races. In Qin Yun's opinion, Shin Ruoming is a bit thorny, but it is not a big problem. Qin Yun's biggest problem is how to deal with Marquis Shi and his group after defeating Shin Ruoming and obtaining the Divine Heaven Bloodline Divine Source. Marquis Shi's son was killed by Qin Yun. A large number of youths from the Divine Star and Divine Sword race have been killed by Qin Yun. Even if the Divine Judge is here, they will not let Qin Yun off. After resting, Qin Yun walked out of the floating cloud pagoda and signed a soul contract with Xin Changhao. The Divine Sky race protecting the Nine-Yang Divine Palace is very important to Qin Yun. Qin Yun's current cultivation has not increased, his strength is limited. If he faces the attack of many powerful races, he will face great pressure. If the Divine Sky race is there, then he has nothing to fear. Shin Ruoming's origin sword is that thin sword. It looks very thin, but it is extremely dangerous. Qin Yun does not have a weapon. During battle, he cannot use other equipment to fight. Under this kind of battle rules, facing a powerful sword cultivator like Shin Ruoming, he will definitely be at a disadvantage. However, Qin Yun is not afraid at all. Qin Yun, even if you defeat Divine Sky race's Shin Ruoming, it does not mean that the Divine Saber truly belongs to you. Marquis Shi stood at the side of the battlefield and said coldly, You still have to get past us. Furthermore, I will definitely avenge the death of my son. Qin Yun did not even look at Marquis Shi. Marquis Shi was very strong, but Qin Yun thought nothing of him. Mo Dutian and the nameless old man also want to see how Qin Yun will defeat Shen Ruoming. Shen Ruoming's sword had already been unsheathed. That sword aura filled the battlefield, bringing with it a cold and arrogant aura. It looked like Shen Ruoming himself. Didn't you say that once your sword is unsheathed, someone will die? Qin Yun said with a smile. Then between you and me, one of us must die today, right? My sword has killed enough people, there will be a day when no one will die. Shen Ruoming knows that his goal is only to defeat Qin Yun. He could not kill Qin Yun, otherwise, he would not be able to obtain that divine saber. Only by obtaining that divine saber would he be able to use the myriad divine saber to strengthen his origin sword. Shen Changhao said coldly, "Is everything ready? Begin." The battle began. Shen Ruoming held his sword and stood at his original position, pointing it at Qin Yun, motionless. A powerful sword aura formed around his body. Shen Ruoming did not attack, instead, he waited for Qin Yun to attack. When everyone saw this scene, they were all astonished. Especially the elders of the powerful races, they all exclaimed in admiration. This Shen Ruoming's sword Dao attainment is actually so profound. He has already reached the stage of man and sword unity. A middle-aged man from the divine sword race said in shock. Wufeng, Shen Ruoming's sword Dao level is extremely high. Did you see? His origin sword seems to have a life of its own, it has its own unique aura and soul. Divine Judge said. His origin divine sword is very strong, even stronger than mine. Xie Wufeng said, but in terms of sword Dao attainment, we should be about the same. Marquis Shi gritted his teeth and snorted. Shen Ruoming is the descendant of the Heavenly Sword King Noble. He obtained the Heavenly Sword King Noble's origin sword inheritance. Isn't it normal for him to have this kind of level? Shen Ruoming is just standing there, pointing his sword at Qin Yun and releasing an incomparably marvelous aura. It is as if his entire being has fused with the heaven and earth. Looking at Shen Ruoming, they can only feel that he is a sharp sword. As long as they lock onto him, it will be difficult for them to escape. Yushi said, "This guy cultivates sword Dao that allows him to fuse with the heavenly Dao. When he fights, he can use formidable heavenly Dao power. The moment he attacks, he can use the heavenly Dao power to form a formidable heavenly formation or heavenly rune to attack. Only those experts can see how formidable Shen Ruoming is, and they are all somewhat horrified in their hearts. To be able to cultivate such a talented sword cultivator like Shen Ruoming, it is clear that the Heavenly Sword King Noble is even more dreadful. Palace King, you must be careful," Yushi warned. "This guy is very strong, especially his sword Dao power." Qin Yun said, "Really? Why can you see that he is very strong? And why can't I see it?" Everyone immediately burst into an uproar. Can't see how formidable Shen Ruoming is? Then how can they fight? Someone from the divine heaven race said with sneer. You can't even see how strong your opponent is, how are you going to fight? Marquis, she said with sneer. This guy truly doesn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. He doesn't know that he is facing a strong enemy, it seems like he is going to lose for sure. It is also good that he loses that saber, it will be easier to deal with him. Shen Ruoming's expression is cold, he said to Qin Yun. Your cultivation is far below mine, I will let you make the first move. I have been waiting for you for a long time, come. Qin Yun took a deep breath. Suddenly, a ball of flame appeared in his palm. That ball of flame slowly condensed into a hammer. This is a hammer condensed from divine power, it is not a weapon, so it does not violate the previous agreement. A weapon condensed from divine power is just a lump of mud in my eyes. You plan on using this to contend against my origin sword? Shen Ruoming cannot help but laugh. Don't look down on my hammer, It will show you what is called despair. Qin Yun said with indifferent smile. The divine hammer in his hand is not simple, it is a hammer condensed from the divine hammer Tao meridian. Furthermore, the divine hammer Tao image was cultivated by the Nether Sun long ago. After being tempered by the Nether Sun for many years, coupled with the mysterious and powerful Nether Sun totem, it is very powerful. It can be said that the divine hammer in Qin Yun's hand is not condensed from divine power, it is his origin divine weapon. There is also a small dragon coiled around the handle of the hammer, it is the power of the divine dragon Tao image. And the hammer's face is a heavenly lion head filled with ferocious aura, it is the heavenly lion Tao image. Heavenly lion, divine hammer, divine dragon, these are the three divine profound Tao images that Qin Yun cultivated the earliest. Although the heavenly lion Tao image has not opened the Xian divine Tao meridian, it still possesses formidable power. Quickly come over. Shin Ruoming's cold and arrogant eyes are filled with impatience. Shin Ruoming, have you ever experienced despair? After Qin Yun finished speaking, his eyes suddenly flashed with a dragon-like lightning. It is the Thunder Lock Sacred Pupil. The Thunder Lock Sacred Pupil is activated through the Divine Dragon Tao image and the Divine Cauldron Tao image. After the lightning shot out, it directly transformed into a cauldron condensed from lightning and enveloped Shin Ruoming. Boom! Qin Yun took a step forward. After the 9 extinction steps was transformed into the heaven extinction steps, the life extinction 9 steps was still preserved. Moreover, it was strengthened by Yang Shiryu and became the heaven extinction 9 steps. Boom boom boom, Qin Yun took 9 steps in a row and arrived in front of Shin Ruoming. Shin Ruoming just broke free from the Thunder Lock Sacred Pupil and was about to attack with his sword when his expression suddenly changed. Because he felt that his body is incomparably heavy. Qin Yun and Ling Yun'er joined hands and released the supergravity of the dual Nether Sun and pressed down on Shin Ruoming's body. I'll let you be arrogant. Qin Yun's hammer smashed down on Shin Ruoming's origin sword. Clang! With just one hammer strike, Shin Ruoming's origin sword directly shattered. After the divine hammer's explosive power shattered the origin sword, it directly struck Shin Ruoming's chest. The explosion caused the clothes on Shin Ruoming's chest to split open, his skin and flesh burst open, his sternum shattered and blood and flesh splattered out. Shin Ruoming was sent flying, his face is filled with fear and disbelief. His body is heavily injured but he can recover. The biggest blow to him is a mental one. He was actually defeated in one strike by someone else. Moreover, his opponent's cultivation is so much lower than his and the weapon he used is a hammer condensed from divine power. Shin Ruoming is like a dead dog that has lost its direction in life. He heavily landed on the ground. His entire person is at a loss, his face is filled with doubt. He is not in pain but his mind has suffered an incomparably intense blow. Everyone present was shocked to the extreme. Qin Yun said before that he could not see how strong Shin Ruoming's sword Tao is. It is not because his eyesight is bad but because he is too strong. No matter how strong his opponent is, he cannot see it. Hand over the bloodline divine source. Qin Yun looked at Shin Chonghao. His voice is filled with formidable might. Your divine heaven race must watch over the 9 Yang divine palace, just like a watchdog, obediently watch for 10 years. Shin Chonghao's face is twitching. He is so angry that he wished he could kill Qin Yun with one punch. But there was nothing he could do. Watchdog, watch for 10 years. Their divine heaven race is one of the top 3 races among the powerful ancient races, but now they are being ordered around like watchdogs. Although my 9 Yang divine palace has declined, although it is not very good, I still have the divine heaven race to be my watchdog. Qin Yun's eyes are filled with arrogant aura as he swept his gaze over all the powerful races. 9 Yang divine palaces, Dragon Palace Elder and Sword Palace Elder also sensed the Palace King's might. It is indeed the same as the legends. Just wait 10 years later. Shen Changhao took out their bloodline divine source. It is a white pearl, and threw it to Qin Yun. Qin Yun caught the bloodline divine source and pressed it into his abdomen. He sent the bloodline divine source into the nether sun to fuse with it. Divine heaven race has lost. Look at our divine star race. Divine star race's middle-aged man shouted. Xing Feihai, come out and defeat him. Xing Feihai is a youngster. Earlier, he followed the older generation to attack the nine-dragon heavenly origin formation, so he was not attacked. Qin Yun, you really need the bloodline divine source, right? If you defeat me, you can obtain the divine star race's bloodline divine source. A few small stars floated around Xing Feihai's body. Come, just like before, I will represent the divine star race. Qin Yun said with sneer. Who do you think you are? Who do you think the divine star race is? Do you think you are qualified to fight me fairly? I kill you like slaughtering dogs. Why should I fight you fairly? Chapter 2202. Xing Feihai originally thought that they could compete with Qin Yun using their bloodline divine origin, like the divine heavenly race, and win the divine saber. The overall strength of the divine star race is also pretty good. The reason why Xing Feihai and the other elders attacked Qin Yun is mainly because his cultivation is relatively high. If he were to fight, he has a high chance of defeating Qin Yun without any equipment. Qin Yun released the altar and held the myriad heaven divine saber in his hand. He condensed all the power in his body and instantly arrived beside Xing Feihai. This sudden attack caught everyone unprepared. Because the divine judge is here, even if those strong races hate Qin Yun, they don't dare to act blindly without thinking. Otherwise, they would definitely besiege Qin Yun again. But now, Qin Yun is attacking them. Xing Feihai's body is surrounded by 7 watermelon-sized beautiful stars. With a single glance, one can tell that they are his divine profound Tao image. He is the person of the 7 divine profound Tao image. The 7 small stars surrounding Xing Feihai's body can form a very powerful offensive and defensive barrier. Bastard, are you here to die? Xing Feihai saw Qin Yun fiercely flying over and shouted angrily. Qin Yun directly rushed over. The 9 altars on his body activated the 9-dragon heavenly origin formation. It is even more powerful. In addition, the myriad heaven divine saber in his hand chopped down. The explosive power caused Xing Feihai's expression to greatly change as he cried out in fear. The myriad heaven divine saber flickered with purple-red light and chopped down, causing a loud explosion. Intense divine universe purple energy surged out like a monstrous wave. Xing Feihai's 7 divine profound Tao images transformed into stars were instantly shattered and his body was devoured and torn apart by the powerful and vicious purple-red saber energy. Not even a single dregs remained. Just one saber strike was enough to destroy a genius of a strong race like Xing Feihai. This caused the elders of the strong races to covet the myriad heaven divine saber even more. The might of the myriad heaven divine saber was indeed displayed just now, and it is truly terrifying. Of course, they don't know that the reason why the myriad heaven divine saber is so powerful is mainly because of the 9 desolate divine sabers foundation. In addition to the divine universe purple sun within the 9 sun divine spirit and a powerful body, it can erupt with this kind of power. If it was anyone else, it would be difficult for them to release this kind of power. After Xing Feihai's body was devoured by the saber chi, it shattered and turned into a purplish-red mist that spread out. No one could see his expression before he died. Be *starred, I'll kill you! The elder of the divine star race was enraged. A few elders of the divine star race immediately flew over and surrounded Qin Yun. They blasted out waves of powerful divine power from all directions. All of a sudden, a storm of star divine power was stirred up in the entire middle hall. The place where Qin Yun was standing was engulfed by all kinds of tyrannical star divine power. He was completely drowned by the star divine power of those seniors. The chief divine judge was caught off guard by this scene. He had thought that the battle would come to an end with his presence. He never thought that Qin Yun would start a new war because the Chaos Race, the Divine Star Race, and the Divine Sword Race no longer had any intention of fighting. Although the Middle Palace Hall was very stable, after experiencing many fierce battles, the barrier inside was gradually being consumed, and there were signs of it breaking. Suddenly, the middle hall trembled slightly. The ground cracked. This meant that the entire Sword Sun Hall was about to be destroyed. 9 Sun Palace King, please give me some face and temporarily stop. The chief divine judge said in a clear voice. These guys wanted to kill me just now, how could I let them go? Qin Yun replied coldly and proudly. No one could see the situation inside the battlefield because it was enveloped by the tyrannical star divine power. But hearing Qin Yun's voice, they knew that he was still in good condition. Lu Yu and Shu Yan could not intervene in this kind of battle. Even the chief divine judge found it extremely troublesome. The divine sky race, the divine moon race, the heavenly devil god race and the others all warned themselves not to provoke Qin Yun. Otherwise, it would be very troublesome if they were entangled with him. It wasn't just the entire Sword Sun Hall that was shaking. Even the entire Sword Sun Sacred Mountain was shaking. The 5 elders of the divine star race stopped because they knew that even if they continued to attack, they would not be able to break through the 9 dragon heavenly origin formation's defense. After they stopped, they discovered that the 9 altars beside Qin Yun were not floating in the air. Instead, they were on the ground. The 9 altars on the ground gradually became a lot bigger. Roar! Golden light appeared on the surface of the altar. Dragon roar echoed in all directions. It has a kind of arrogant might that disdains the heaven and earth. Qin Yun's eyes became incomparably black and surged with black gas. Yuner, let's join hands and activate the twin nether suns to devour the energy of the Sword Sun Divine Mountain. Qin Yun said in his heart. All right. Ling Yuner nodded. The 9 dragon heavenly origin formation seems to have fused with Qin Yun. Qin Yun wanted to devour, so the 9 dragon heavenly origin formation released a formidable devouring power. The 9 dragon heavenly origin formation operated, sending many devouring power into the depths of the Sword Sun Divine Mountain. Together with Qin Yun and Ling Yuner's nether suns, they extracted the entire Sword Sun Divine Mountain's energy. The Sword Sun Divine Mountain is a treasure land and it can also give birth to the myriad heaven divine sword. It must be hiding a very strong energy. Now it is being extracted by the 9 dragon heavenly origin formation. The Sword Sun Divine Mountain is trembling violently, it could collapse at any time. And the people near the Sword Sun Divine Mountain all moved far away. They don't know what is happening inside, they only know that the myriad heaven divine sword is about to appear, so it is normal for there to be some big movements. The 9 dragon heavenly origin formation obtained the powerful energy of the Sword Sun Divine Mountain and released an incomparably vigorous divine power. That is the power of the myriad realms divine sun. Although Qin Yun has the divine universe purple sun, in order to release it, he would first have to go through the 9 sun divine spirit, so it would be somewhat restricted. And at this moment, the 9 dragon heavenly origin formation directly absorbed the power of the myriad realms divine sun from the Sword Sun Divine Mountain, making the formation even more terrifying. Everyone, hurry up and join hands to get rid of him. Marquis, she suddenly shouted. There are still dukes and some seniors outside. If we can't even get rid of this guy, we will be punished by them. The Divine Star Race, Primal Chaos Race and Divine Sword Race, these 3 great races have a total of more than 10 people. They know how terrifying the 9 dragon heavenly origin formation is. They also know that if this continues, they won't have enough strength to kill Qin Yun. If they were to be beaten to the point of fleeing, it would be extremely embarrassing. The three great races, as well as the Marquis and Earls, are actually unable to deal with a declining Nine-Yong Palace King. Everyone knew that back then, the Nine-Yong Palace King was suppressed and oppressed by the heavenly law divine domain for several lifetimes. Marquis Shi and the other dozen or so elders all took out all sorts of powerful divine weapons, divine talismans and divine-level magic treasures. These divine talismans and divine artifacts that came from powerful races were all very strong and very precious. Boom! Boom! A large number of divine talismans were thrown out. An incomparably intense explosion directly destroyed the entire Sword Sun Great Hall. The Sword Sun Great Hall at the top of the Sword Sun Divine Mountain was blasted apart and a large amount of it flew out along with the shockwave. The other spectators had also released a very strong barrier just now. Then, they flew out of the whirlpool of the Great Formation and watched from the sky. Xie Wufeng and the Divine Judge were extremely anxious at this moment because they had no idea how to intervene because both sides were fighting extremely intensely. After the Sword Sun Great Hall was blown up, the big ships floating around the peak of the Sword Sun and the big shots of the powerful races were all alarmed. One had to know that there were dukes from powerful races in those big ships. They only wanted to see who the myriad Heaven Divine sword belonged to. Now that the fight over it was so intense, it was beyond their expectations. The Sword Sun Divine Mountain's barrier had been completely destroyed. The energy within had been devoured by the 9 altars. The 9 dragons' heavenly origin array was at full power, emitting a sound wave that resembled the roar of 9 dragons. It blasted away the various powerful races' divine powers that enveloped the Great Formation. Everyone in the sky could see the center of the 9 dragons' heavenly origin array suddenly emit a sound wave that transformed into a ripple. All sorts of violent divine powers that emitted intense light were pushed away by the ripple. Qin Yun and the 9 dragons' heavenly origin array had finally appeared. The 9 altars became incomparably large, like 9 10,000-foot tall mountains that enveloped Qin Yun. Upon sensing the terror of the 9 dragons' heavenly origin array, Marquis Shi and the other elders of the powerful races were secretly alarmed. They knew that they had lost the upper hand and were unable to do anything to the Great Formation. Just as they were about to escape, they suddenly felt a spatial fluctuation. Transcendence! Qin Yun chanted in his heart as his body flashed. He teleported with the 9 gigantic altars and arrived beside Marquis Shi and company. Marquis Shi and company were trapped within the 9 dragons' heavenly origin array. Being inside the 9 dragons' heavenly origin array meant that they were meat on the chopping block. The interior of the array was Qin Yun's domain. "You!" Marquis Shi shouted in shock and anger. His body was immobilized. More than a dozen of them were trapped within the 9 dragons' heavenly origin array. They were unable to move. Chaos Race? From this day forth, I will no longer be afraid of you. Qin Yun roared as the myriad Heaven Divine saber descended. Condensing the 9 dragons' heavenly origin array's power, it slashed at Marquis Shi. Boom! Intense light surged as a shockwave surged like a raging wave. Marquis Shi was slain with a single strike. The other elders of the powerful races vomited blood and roared angrily. Qin Yun swept his cold gaze over. The myriad Heaven Divine saber moved with a thought as it swept out. The saber force seemed to slice through the heavens, instantly killing the elders of the powerful races. Around the Sword Sun God Mountain were the Divine Sword Race, the Chaos Race, and the Divine Star Race's dukes and marquises. They were immediately enraged when they saw the elders of their races being killed. The Divine Judge, Xie Wufeng, Yu Shi, Shen Ruoming, Mo Fanshan and many other experts were dumbfounded. When I cultivate all the profound God Dao veins, I won't even need the 9 dragons' heavenly origin array to kill the dukes and marquises of the powerful races. Qin Yun looked at the large ships and the stars floating around him. Then, He slashed down at the sword Sun God Mountain below. The incomparably gigantic sword Sun God Mountain was penetrated to the bottom by the myriad heaven divine saber force. It was smashed to pieces and collapsed. The ground shook incessantly as smoke and dust billowed and boulders flew everywhere. The 9 altars became much smaller, but they continued to circle around Qin Yun. Chapter 2203. Qin Yun's current strength is not enough to fight against many powerful dukes and marquises. Divine Sword Race, Primal Chaos Race and Divine Star Race have many elders. If he is besieged by them, it will be very difficult to resist. Qin Yun used spatial divine power to escape. Divine Sword Race, Primal Chaos Race and Divine Star Race immediately sent people to chase after him. But they lost their target in a short while. That is because Qin Yun let Little Ant Queen take him to hide in the tyrannical space. With the strength of Qin Yun's body, even if he falls into the tyrannical space, he can still endure. While hiding in the tyrannical space, Qin Yun suddenly saw a woman with a veil covering her face. She is wearing light and elegant white dress. Shao Shi. Qin Yun looked at that pair of ice-cold yet somewhat tender beautiful eyes and lightly shouted. "You don't even recognize me?" Yu Shi lightly groaned and said, "You think I'm Sister Bing Xing?" Qin Yun laughed and said, "Of course not, it's just that you two are becoming more and more alike. Is it because you are together often? Yu Tian should also be the same, right?" When Yu Shi was still Princess Dark Knight, both Qin Yun and her had not recovered their memories. Therefore, when Qin Yun saw that she has the same appearance as Bing Xing, he felt very puzzled. Later he learned that among the 9 Sun Divine Maidens, Yu Tian and Bing Xing all have the same appearance. If you saw Sister Tian, you wouldn't say that. Although she looks the same as us, she doesn't look like us at all. Yu Shi's beautiful eyes looked all around and said, "You can really hide. It was very difficult for me to find you." "Did Sister Bing Xing and the others go back?" Qin Yun asked. "This time it was too hasty. I didn't even have time to talk to them. They left with Big Sister Yu Liyuan of Divine Moon Race." Yu Shi said, took out a sword and handed it to Qin Yun. "This sword is the 9 Sun Emperor's sword." When Yu Shi handed it over, the sword suddenly split into 9. Moreover, they are quite big and floated beside Qin Yun. "You promised me that you would help me refine a 9-dragon heavenly origin formation." Yu Shi finished speaking and took out 9 Gemini heavenly rune beads. "These are the Gemini heavenly rune beads that Sister Kong and Yen Yen gave me. I will help you get them as soon as possible." Qin Yun put it away and asked, "Sister Shuyan and the rest have left with the Divine Moon Clan. What are they going to do?" "The God Moon Clan and the God Moon World have some relationship. We have been in contact before. This time we are just going to discuss some matters." Yu Shi said, "Shao Yun, do you really need the bloodline divine source?" Qin Yun quickly nodded and said, "Yes, the more the better." He knew very well that it was getting more and more difficult for his physical body to continue to improve. Although he had the Divine Sky Race's bloodline divine source, it was far from enough, because he wanted to open 10 profound God Dao veins. "Then I'll ask the God Moon Clan to give us some bloodline divine source. I'll leave one for you." Yu Shi's cold and beautiful face showed a charming smile. Although it was only a slight smile, it was extremely charming. "Shao Shi, what has that girl Yume been doing recently? I haven't seen her for a long time. I really miss her." Qin Yun gently caressed Yu Shi's jade-like face. Yu Shi said, "She went to complete her mission. I heard she went together with Yu Qing." "Love? What was she going to do with this dragon girl? Didn't she say she would complete it on her own?" "She didn't take me but instead took her." Qin Yun shook his head and smiled. "Yu Qing has an unusual relationship with her. In short, Yu Qing is a dragon, moreover a very special dragon. She established some kind of contract with Yume, so she can help Yume complete her mission." Yu Shi said, "Shao Shi, Don't your 9-son divine maiden have a lot of missions? What exactly are they? Qin Yun is very curious about this matter. One after another, but there is no other way, we were born for this. Only by completing it can we become stronger. Yushi is also very helpless, she said with light smile. Xiao Yun, you don't need to worry about me, it's you who makes us very worried. Qin Yun embraced her and said with smile, Xiao Shi, you and I have known each other for many years. When the 9-son royal family rose to power, you and I were the witnesses. Now we can both be considered 9-son royal family. Your 9-son divine palace has appeared again and I am the 9-son royal family's clan emperor. Other powerful races have appeared, it seems like we will have to pass through this golden age together. Yu Shi's expression is filled with reminiscence. We will face all kind of dangers, maybe this is what we must experience. Qin Yun indifferently smiled. You can rest assured, nothing will happen to me. Yu Shi lightly groaned and said, Our common mission is to protect you, how can we not worry about you? All 9-son divine maidens have a common mission, that is to protect Qin Yun. As for why, Qin Yun also doesn't know. He feels that it is related to his true identity. Those powerful races outside are jumping up and down in anger, they are looking for Qin Yun everywhere. But Qin Yun and Yu Shi are hiding and hugging each other. If they find out, they will surely become even more furious. Oh, that's right. Why are those powerful races so afraid of you 9-son divine maidens? Qin Yun is very puzzled. Those primal chaos race fellows knew that Yuelon is a 9-son divine maiden, but they still wanted to capture her. Yu Shi said, Those fellows who tried to capture Yuelon didn't know the severity of the situation. Plus Yuelon's cultivation is not high, that's why they dared to attack. Now that they know that we 9-son divine maidens are still here, they don't dare. That Shin Ruoming from before was very afraid of Sister Bing Xing. Qin Yun said, Why would they be afraid of you? He even said that you want to enter transformation realm or something. Ignore him. Yu Shi used her lily-white hand to gently cover Qin Yun's mouth and said, Don't think too much, myriad heaven's divine desolate has appeared, nothing can be predicted. Moreover, many things, many laws are changing. And Qin Yun said with smile, Xiao Shi, come help me, we will make the 9-dragon heavenly origin formation together. I can't, I still have things to do. Next time I come to find you, I will conveniently give you the divine moon bloodline divine origin. Yu Shi said, Is it 9-son divine maiden's mission? Qin Yun asked. Yes, myriad realms divine sun needs our help. This is rather complicated. We will use myriad heavens divine moon's guidance and power to help myriad realms divine sun grow. Yu Shi said, This requires us to go to various places in myriad heavens divine desolate to help perfect myriad realms divine Sunday. We will set up a great formation in myriad heavens divine desolate. Qin Yun also realized that myriad realms divine sun, myriad heavens divine moon and 9-son divine maiden are all closely related. However, he still doesn't understand why 9-son divine maiden has a common mission to protect him. How about this, I'll let Yu Tian help you. Yu Shi said. Heaven Creation Palace Master Yu Tian? Qin Yun said, She should be both familiar and unfamiliar to me, right? Yu Tian and Yu Shi's souls fuse together, so their memories are interlinked. It is a very strange state. Therefore, Yu Tian is very familiar with Qin Yun, but Qin Yun doesn't know much about Yu Tian. Don't worry, Yu Tian is very easy to get along with. Yu Shi said, She was the palace master of Heaven Creation Divine Palace back then, but that Heaven Creation Divine Palace is only in the Sun's sacred land. It is not the strongest Heaven Creation Divine Palace. I know this, Qin Yun said with frown. I heard that the current Heaven Creation Divine Palace is also involved in the matter of Myriad Realms Divine Court. Were there people from Heaven Creation Divine Palace in the Middle Palace Hall before? When Qin Yun was in the Middle Palace Hall, He saw many people, but he didn't know who were from Heaven Creation Divine Palace. Of course there are. They won't do anything to you, they can't do anything to you. She said. Yu Tian is very familiar with the matters of Heaven Creation Divine Palace. She is often in contact with Heaven Creation Divine Palace people. Qin Yun nodded and said, "How about this? Let her come to Nine Sun Divine Palace to find me." Speaking of Nine Sun Divine Palace, Yushi can't help but laugh and said, "Palace King, do you need help with your Nine Sun Divine Palace?" You, Palace King, are still the same as before, you like to stir up trouble. But your current Nine Sun Divine Palace is not as strong as before. Don't worry, Divine Heaven Race will help me. Qin Yun laughed and said. Divine Heaven Race is also very depressed, especially the old man who promised Qin Yun to protect the Nine Sun Divine Condor for 10 years. He now wants to die. Don't talk about protecting the Nine Sun Divine Condor for 10 years, even protecting the Nine Sun Divine Condor for a year is unbearable. Divine Heaven Race really didn't know that Qin Yun was so good at stirring up trouble, it seems like he is deliberately swindling them. Divine Heaven Race is very strong among the strong races, even they were swindled by you, Palace King. She can't help but chuckle. She is different from Bingxing. When she is happy, she has a completely different appearance. She Race's Empress, you shoulder a heavy responsibility, you must restore the Nine Sun royal family. Qin Yun said with mischievous smile. You are the lover of She Race's Empress, you must help me share a bit of the responsibility. She stuck out her tongue and said with smile. In the past, didn't I, the Nine Sun Palace King, secretly help many Nine Sun royal family? Naturally, I will help them now. Qin Yun said. Then you should quickly go back to Nine Sun Divine Palace and make arrangements. Divine Heaven Race should immediately send people over, you should at least receive them. She said. I know, my Empress Yushi. Qin Yun smiled and kissed her face. After Yushi and Qin Yun left the tyrannical space, they arrived at Divine Desolate Space and kissed for a while before separating. Qin Yun quickly returned to Nine Sun Divine Palace. He knows that the outside of Nine Sun Divine Palace will become very lively. Dog God, Evil God and others are all on Mo Dutian's large flying boat. They are going to Nine Sun Divine Palace with Mo Dutian. They recalled the shocking battle just now and their mood is still very excited. Brother Dog, do you think Master Qin will hide far away and only appear after thousands of years? Mo Dutian asked in low voice. He has thoroughly offended Divine Star Race, Divine Sword Race and Primal Chaos Race. Moreover, he has so many good things on him, Dog God said. He won't, Boss will immediately return to Nine Sun Divine Palace. Divine Heaven Race will indeed protect Nine Sun Divine Palace. But only for 10 years. After 10 years, Nine Sun Divine Palace will surely be in big trouble. Although Mo Dutian was tricked by Qin Yun, he doesn't dare to hold a grudge. Otherwise, even 10 of him won't be enough to kill him. Instead, he is very worried about Qin Yun. Chapter 2204. Seeing the Divine Judge's ship quickly flying towards the Nine Yang Divine Palace, Missouri Dutian is very worried. Previously in the Middle Palace Hall, Master Qin made a big move and completely disregarded the dignity of the Divine Judge. Could it be that the Divine Judge is going to cause trouble for Master Qin? Mo Dutian said. The Divine Judge's Heaven's Divine Punishment flag is still very strong. If he fights with Boss, the result will be hard to say. Dog God is also somewhat worried. We don't need to worry too much. If the Divine Judge wanted to make a move, he would have already done so. His mind said. Boss is, after all, the King of the Gods and has the Divine King Heavenly Seal in his hand. The Divine Judge should be going to discuss some matters with him. Not long after the Divine Judge's ship flew past, another huge golden ship quickly flew past. Moreover, it is flying through space. It swept past Emodutian's flying ship like a ray of light. That's the Heaven Creation God Palace's ship. Emodutian shouted in shock. Heaven Creation God Palace is also going to the Nine-Yang Divine Palace? Legend has it that the Nine-Yang Divine Palace and the Heaven Creation God Palace had a lot of connections and cooperated with each other. Now that the Nine-Yang Palace King has returned, they naturally want to find the Palace King and have a chat, Dog God said. The Dog God had also inquired about the matters of the Nine-Yang Divine Palace back then. The main source was from the Heavenly Law Divine Realm. Qin Yun is also returning to the Nine-Yang Divine Palace. He was the first to arrive there, and he quietly returned. No one knew that he had returned. Under the illumination of the myriad realms' divine sun, the Nine-Yang Divine Palace is resplendent and magnificent. When absorbing the divine power of the myriad realms' divine sun, it blossomed with golden splendor and multicolored energy. Looking from afar, it has a kind of visual shock and impact. Floating near the Nine-Yang Divine Palace, one can even feel the vicissitudes and grandeur of the primordial era. The vicinity of this huge and ancient divine palace is also surging with wind and clouds. Many huge ships are floating around, coupled with the majestic divine palace. It is even more shocking. Nine-Yang Divine Palace, Heavenly Palace. The sweet and exquisite, lively little palace spirit immediately felt a lot more at ease when she saw Qin Yun return. Big Brother Palace King, there are many big ships outside. I will activate the Great Formation and send out a warning, don't let them come close. Tell White Commander, don't let the Primal Chaos, Divine Sword Race and Divine Star Race come in. If someone from the Divine Heaven Race comes, feel free to command them. Qin Yun said with a smile and then walked into the Heavenly Palace Pavilion. Yes, the little palace spirit could already sense that Qin Yun's aura was even stronger than the Hall King's from back then. Bai Si did not go to the Sword Sun God Mountain. She was the chief steward, so she had to stay here to manage things. Now that so many ships had suddenly appeared, she was also shocked. Then, she received a transmission from the little temple spirit. The little temple spirit was communicating with her through telepathy. Bai Si had never seen the little temple spirit before. After hearing the little hall spirit's orders, Bai Si was also confused. She anxiously paced back and forth in the great hall of the Nine-Yang Divine Palace. The Sword Hall's and Dragon Hall's elders also brought a group of people and hurriedly returned. Seeing that these two elders were able to return, Bai Si felt a lot more at ease. Granny Qianghua and Medicine King Qin also came back. Our king will be here soon, Grandma Jasper said. What happened? Why were there so many warships gathering outside? Are they going to attack our Nine-Yang Divine Palace? Bai Si asked. Chief Steward Bai, the Palace King has returned. His name is Qin Yun. He is also the Qin Fei who entered the Heavenly Palace, the Dragon Hall's elder said somewhat excitedly. Then, the elders all talked about the matter of the Sword Sun God Mountain and informed all the elders in the Nine-Yang Divine Palace. When the elders heard that the Palace King had returned, they were all shocked and excited. Especially Bai Si, she was the most shocked. She also thought of many things. She once told Qin Yun about the death of her father, White Tiger. At that time, she saw that Qin Yun was very angry. Qin Yun even said that he would help her take revenge. Then Qin Yun's performance in the Dragon Palace's Hidden Dragon Arena. So that was their Palace King. Where is the Palace King? Bai Si promptly asked. He should have returned. Did you see him? The Sword Hall's elder asked. No, but the palace spirit instructed me to do something, Bai Si said with a frown. The Palace King might not have returned, but he has a way to contact the palace spirit, Grandma Qianghua said. Although the Divine Star Race, Primal Chaos Race and Divine Sword Race are outside, they don't dare to attack because the Divine Sky Race is also here. The Divine Sky Race wants to protect us for 10 years. The Dragon Hall's elder chuckled a few times. The one who signed the soul contract is the Divine Sky Race's Marquis Chang Hao. That Marquis doesn't want to die. Moreover, Marquis Chang Hao belongs to the Heavenly Sword King's family. This means that the Divine Sky Race's Heavenly Sword King will use a lot of power to protect the Nine Yang Divine Palace. The Palace King's methods are truly good. The Sword Hall's elder chuckled and said, "We can rest assured now." The Divine Judge brought Xie Wufeng and the other elders of the Myriad Realms Divine Court to the Nine Yang Divine Palace's barrier. Bai Si promptly went out to welcome them. The young palace spirit also allowed the Divine Judge to enter. After the Divine Judge entered, his dignified gaze swept across the people in the palace and asked, "Is your palace king not here?" "The palace master has not returned," Bai Si said. "Divine Judge, if you want to find the palace king, we have no way to inform him. I just want to have a chat with him. At the same time, I also want to prevent a great battle from erupting here. If a conflict breaks out here and I can't stop it, then my position as the Divine Judge will become nothing more than a decoration." At this time, someone shouted, "White Commander, Divine Sky Race's Marquis Chang Hao requests an audience." Shen Chang Hao is a marquis. Among the strong races, the status of a marquis is not low. Quickly invite him in. After White Commander found out that Divine Sky Race's people have arrived, he immediately relaxed a lot. Shen Chang Hao arrived with a large group of Divine Sky Race experts. Most of them are heavenly gods. There are also quite a few sacred gods. "White Commander, we will be living here for the next 10 years. Shen Chang Hao has a scowling expression. Beside him, Shen Ruoming also has the same expression. Everyone present can understand Shen Chang Hao's current mood. After all, they have been miserably cheated by the simple and honest Palace King. They have to help Qin Yun look after his home for 10 years. And the enemies they will face are all very dangerous. What caused them to be incomparably gloomy is that they don't know what kind of enemies Qin Yun will provoke in the future. Therefore, being able to put on a scowling expression is already very good. If it were anyone else, they would probably cry. Qin Yun is cultivating in the Heavenly Palace. He wants to fuse with the Divine Sky Race's bloodline divine origin. Divine Sky Race's bloodline divine origin is quite strong. Qin Yun wants to open all his Xian God Dao veins and step into the Great God Realm as soon as possible. After the battle at Sword Sun God Mountain, he has a preliminary understanding of the strength of the powerful ancient races. If he didn't rely on the Nine Dragons' heavenly origin formation and other equipment, with his current strength, he would not be able to defeat those marquis. At most, he would only be able to defeat young geniuses like Shen Ruoming. Qin Yun also understands that he cannot rely too much on external forces. After all, those powerful ancient races have existed for a long time. They have experienced many eras and their foundation is extremely strong. If they also had strong enough equipment, it would be even more difficult to deal with them. This time, the reason why Qin Yun was able to kill an expert of Marquis Shi's level was mainly because they were not prepared. If they knew that Qin Yun's Nine Dragons' heavenly origin formation was very strong, they would have been able to prepare in advance. If they borrowed even stronger equipment or the same formation, they might have been able to break through the Nine Dragons' heavenly origin formation. If my strength was even stronger, even if the great formation was broken, I would still have the power to protect myself. Qin Yun fused with the Divine Sky Race's bloodline divine origin while cultivating Ling Yun'er's fairy body. The situation outside is still stable. The Divine Sky Race has entered the Nine Yang Divine Palace. The White Commander has arranged a very spacious space for them to stay in, and the reception towards them is quite polite. The Primal Chaos Race, Divine Star Race and Divine Sword Race know that Qin Yun is not in the Nine Yang Divine Palace. They also know that the Divine Sky Race wants to protect the Divine Palace, so they did not attack. If they wanted to attack the nine-yang divine palace, they would have to face the divine sky race and the divine judge. And behind the divine judge is the heaven creation divine palace's support. One day later, Qin Yun suddenly felt that the fusion of the bloodline divine origin this time is very different from before. Strange, the bloodline divine origin's energy has been scattered. Qin Yun said with a frown. Not all of it has been fused into the body. A part of the bloodline divine origin's energy has entered the 10th divine profound Tao image. Qin Yun's 10th divine profound Tao image is still very blurry and has not appeared. There has been no movement for many days. If he did not form the 10th divine profound Tao image, it would mean that he would not be able to open the 10th divine vein and would not be able to step into the great God realm. Now, the 10th divine profound Tao image has finally reacted, which made him very excited. Xiao Yun, this 10th divine profound Tao image absorbed the bloodline divine origin of the divine sky race. Could it be related to the divine sky race? Ling Yun'er asked. That Shin Ruoming seems to be able to see through your situation. I have to find an opportunity to understand it in the future. Although Qin Yun is happy that the 10th divine profound Tao image has reacted, he is also somewhat worried. Because the majority of the divine heaven bloodline divine origin's energy has been absorbed by the 10th divine profound Tao image. His body has not absorbed anything at all. This is unable to increase the strength of his body. This divine heaven bloodline divine origin has been snatched away by the 10th divine profound Tao image. It seems that I still have to continue fusing with the divine heaven bloodline divine origin, Qin Yun said in his heart. The same kind of bloodline divine origin can only be fused with the body once. Now, the divine heaven bloodline divine origin has not been absorbed by Qin Yun's body. Instead, it has been given to the mysterious 10th divine profound Tao image. What is this 10th divine profound Tao image? Qin Yun is extremely curious. He discovered that the 10th divine profound Tao image needs to absorb a lot of energy. Moreover, this energy must be from the divine sky race, and its form is definitely not ordinary. Just as Qin Yun is pondering about the 10th divine profound Tao image, the young palace spirit suddenly said with smile, "Big brother Palace King, a beauty named Yu Tian has come to find you." Yu Tian? She's here so quickly? Qin Yun is somewhat surprised and promptly said, "Let General Manager White entertain her warmly. I am currently at a critical juncture of cultivation. I can't go out for the time being." Chapter 2205. Qin Yun knew that many people wanted to see him, but he was in a hurry to cultivate and could not leave. Even if he finished cultivating, he still had to go see Yu Tian and refine Yushi's 9 dragons' heavenly origin formation with her. Yushi had been looking forward to this for a long time, and now that she had given him all the necessary materials, he had no choice but to complete it quickly. If Yushi had the 9 dragons' heavenly origin array, then her overall strength would increase by a lot and she would be able to complete the mission of the 9 sun goddess much more smoothly. The little palace spirit had already gone to receive Yu Tian and brought her into the heavenly palace tower. Yu Tian understood the heaven-creating God palace very well, and at the same time was very curious about the 9 yang divine palace, so the two of them quickly chatted together. Qin Yun, on the other hand, was struggling to refine the divine heaven bloodline divine source. Absorbing the God heaven bloodline God source was his mysterious 10th God profound Tao idol. He did not know if this was equivalent to him having already fused with the God heaven bloodline God source. Therefore, this made him very conflicted. His physical body needed to fuse with more bloodline divine origin in order to become stronger, and the divine heaven bloodline divine origin was very strong. He did not want to waste it just like that. Xiao Yun, don't worry. The divine heaven bloodline divine source has not completely fused with your flesh and blood. You can still fuse with the divine heaven bloodline divine source, but the premise is that you have to obtain the divine heaven bloodline divine source. Ling Yun laughed. The divine heaven clan people were angered half to death by Qin Yun. It will definitely be very difficult to get another bloodline divine origin from them. However, Qin Yun felt that it was nothing. Ignoring the divine heaven bloodline divine origins, he was confident that he could obtain the bloodline divine origins of the divine star race, the divine sword race, and the chaos race. He already had the heavenly demon race and the nine suns sky race's bloodline divine source, and he was about to get his hands on the divine moon race's bloodline divine source. Qin Yun was looking forward to what would happen if he obtained the bloodline divine origins of the various powerful races. 2 days had passed. Qin Yun finally finished refining the divine heaven bloodline divine source's energy, allowing his 10th divine profound Tao image to completely absorb the bloodline divine source's energy. However, the 10th divine profound Tao image did not completely appear. Instead, there was a silhouette that looked round. It was unknown what it was. What made Qin Yun most depressed is that he can feel that the divine profound Tao image is very strong, it is hiding a very mysterious and powerful power. But he couldn't sense what kind of power it was. He had consumed a divine heaven bloodline divine origin, but he did not manage to completely form the divine profound Tao image. This made Qin Yun feel extremely indignant. Even if he was indignant, there was nothing he could do. Qin Yun could only carry a bellyful of depression as he took a shower and changed into a set of white clothes. Little Hall Spirit, is it convenient to meet you Tian now? Qin Yun asked. The palace spirit immediately teleported Qin Yun to an elegant little hall. In the middle of the small hall, there is a round table with many books on it. They are all records of runes. Beside the table sat a woman in a light blue dress. This woman was Yu Tian. She had the same appearance as Bing Xing and Yu Shi, but she didn't have their ice-cold temperament. Instead, she was the complete opposite of them. Especially now, she was engrossed in reading a book, and had a graceful and elegant temperament. After Yu Tian sensed that someone has appeared, a pair of bright and beautiful eyes immediately looked towards Qin Yun. Then, she sweetly smiled. Big brother Yun, I finally meet you. Now she looks very gentle and pleasant. Especially her smile, it is as if it is filled with endless tenderness, transforming into a spring breeze that warms people's heart. This is the true heaven creation palace master. Qin Yun said with smile. You and Yu Shi fused into one body before it can be said that we have been together for a period of time. At that time, Xiao Shi was in charge and my soul was resting. If not for Big Brother Yun's help, I would not have been able to use Xiao Shi to be reborn. Yu Tian faintly smiled sweetly, her beautiful eyes slightly squinted. Amidst the gentleness and sweetness, there is a kind of delicate and sweet charm. It is extremely enchanting. Qin Yun secretly sighed in his heart. This is the first time he experienced the gentleness and sweetness of this nine-sun goddess. She is truly different from Yu Shi and Bing Xing. Although they have the same appearance, Qin Yun is completely unable to associate them with each other. Yu Tian's character is a bit similar to Xieqiru's. However, Xieqiru is the kind of big sister whose every movement, every frown and smile are filled with endless gentleness. But Yu Tian is different. Within her gentleness, there is sweetness, charm, and also a trace of pleasantness. Xiao Shi should have told you, right? Qin Yun said. Then let's not delay, quickly begin. Xiao Shi is always looking forward to her 9-dragon heavenly origin formation. She always says that if her 9-sun emperor sword is refined into the 9-dragon heavenly origin formation, she will be the strongest among all the sisters. Yu Tian said with light smile. Her sweet and gentle smile makes people feel very comfortable and enjoy watching it. Qin Yun promptly let the young palace spirit bring him to a very spacious secret room and then took out the 9-sun emperor sword. Qin Yun only needs to directly carve Dragon Heavenly Rune on the 9 swords and carve all kinds of runes on them. The process is not too complicated because he already has 9 swords, he doesn't need to refine them again. Yu Tian released her blood spirit power to help Qin Yun activate the Gemini treasure mirror and turn the Gemini Heavenly Rune inside the Gemini Heavenly Rune into Dragon Heavenly Rune. Qin Yun's Gemini treasure mirror has Dragon Heavenly Rune inside it, so long as he has enough blood spirit power. He can turn the Gemini Heavenly Rune created by Kong Feiqing and others into Dragon Heavenly Rune. Yu Tian's blood spirit power is very strong. With her help, Qin Yun can save a lot of trouble. Big Brother Yun, Heaven Creation Divine Palace people are outside. They are the Heaven Creation Divine Palace you were familiar with back then. Both Heaven Creation Divine Palace and 9 Sun Divine Palace now have the support of Myriad Realms Divine Sun, but the support of Heaven Creation Divine Palace is even greater. Yu Tian said. Qin Yun nodded and said, Yu Tian, you have been in contact with them. Who are their people from back then? There are also many people you are familiar with, but they did not come. Now they are the new generation of Heaven Creation Divine Palace. Yu Tian said. Xiao Tian, you have been in contact with them frequently. What kind of attitude do they have towards you? Qin Yun is very curious about this matter. Yu Tian was once the palace master of a Heaven Creation Divine Palace. That Heaven Creation Divine Palace has a special mission, and now they have arrived at God Desolate. They know that I am 9 Sun Divine Maiden, so they hope that I can join their Heaven Creation Divine Palace. They are willing to give me the position of Palace Master. Yu Tian sweetly smiled, her eyes are flowing with tenderness as she asked, Big Brother Yun, do you think I should agree with them? Qin Yun looked at Yu Tian's eyes and felt startled in his heart. This Yu Tian looks gentle and sweet, but within her gentle eyes, there is a trace of charm. That trace of charm is accompanied by gentleness and sweetness. It directly attacked Qin Yun's heart. This kind of soul-hooking power is very strong. This girl, she is doing this on purpose. Qin Yun secretly cursed in his heart. He pretended to be thinking, at the same time avoiding Yu Tian's gaze, which is filled with tenderness and hidden charm. Ling Yun'er said with smile, 9 Sun Divine Maiden, none of them are easy to deal with. Quickly pinch her face. Yu Tian, I can't give you any advice. You are 9 Sun Divine Maiden, you should discuss it with your sisters. Qin Yun said, after entering the Heaven Creation Divine Palace, you might need to deal with a lot of things, it will be very boring. Xiao, she told me to ask you, the other sisters told me to do as I please. Yu Tian sighed with hidden bitterness, her sorrowful beautiful eyes are filled with a kind of enchanting gentleness. Qin Yun secretly took a deep breath and said with smile, then agree to the Heaven Creation Divine Palace and become their palace master. When the time comes, you can just be a shopkeeper who doesn't have to do anything. Then I will listen to Big Brother Yun. Yu Tian revealed a smile, calling him Big Brother Yun very sweetly. Qin Yun has already finished 1 Dragon Heavenly Rune, they have already finished 3, they still need 6 more to complete. Let me do it, Big Brother Yun, you go carve runes. Yu Tian said with smile. Yu Tian is ranked 8th among the 9 Sun Divine Maidens, so she feels that she is younger than Qin Yun and calls him Big Brother Yun. Alright. Qin Yun handed over the Gemini treasure mirror to Yu Tian and let her carve Dragon Heavenly Rune. And Qin Yun began carving runes. Yu Tian, there is a problem with my cultivation. Do you have a way to contact Sister Kiru? I want to ask her for guidance. Qin Yun asked. Yu Tian lightly sighed and said, Sister Kiru is very busy right now, we have to contact her regularly, it will be very difficult to contact her immediately. And then help me pass on a message to her. I want to see her. Qin Yun said. I will tell Sister Kiru. Yu Tian nodded and said with smile, Sister Kiru also misses you very much. Oh, that's right, Big Brother Yun. What problem did you encounter with your cultivation? Maybe I can help you a bit? Soon after, Qin Yun spoke about his 10th divine profound Tao image. After Yu Tian finished listening, she said with frown, Sister Kier mentioned this before. She said that you will have a very difficult to cultivate divine profound Tao image. If you can't cross this hurdle, you won't be able to break through. Ah, did she say how she was going to solve it? Qin Yun said, I have already grasped a bit of the way. I will have to fuse with divine heaven race's bloodline divine origin. Sister Kiru said that this is a very difficult problem you will face in the future. Even she doesn't know how to help you cross it. If your cultivation can't progress, we will take you to our side and protect you for the rest of your life. Yu Tian said, I can cross it, I have already made some progress. Qin Yun said with smile, but I am still a bit perplexed. Don't worry, I won't let you take care of me for the rest of my life. Oh, that's right, I heard Sister Kiru say that if you want to cross this hurdle, thoroughly studying the Imperial Heaven diagram is the most crucial. Yu Tian's eyes lit up and suddenly said, The Imperial Heaven diagram is the immortal graveyard diagram. It can be said to be a very mysterious and powerful thing. Back when he entered the Heavenly Law pawnshop, the Imperial Heaven diagram has always been with Qin Yun. He also researched it but didn't make any progress, so he gave up. Because he doesn't know what it is and has no idea where to start. Now that Yu Tian mentioned it, Qin Yun is very startled in his heart. He immediately thought that the Imperial Heaven diagram, Heavenly Eye, Heavenly Tao and Divine Heaven bloodline divine origin might have some connection. Chapter 2206. Yu Tian saw that Qin Yun is distracted and knows that he is thinking about the Imperial Heaven diagram. Big Brother Yun, first help Xiao Shi with the 9-dragon heavenly origin formation, then think about the Imperial Heaven diagram. This kind of thing cannot be rushed. Yu Tian sweetly said with smile. Qin Yun immediately focused his attention on the carvings. With Yu Tian's help, Qin Yun can relax a lot. 3 days have passed since Yu Tian finished carving dragon heavenly runes, and Qin Yun still has not finished carving runes. Yu Tian, go and rest, Qin Yun said. He has already finished carving runes on the 7 sword. Now there are only 2 swords left. While Yu Tian is carving dragon heavenly runes through the Gemini treasure mirror, she has been watching Qin Yun carve runes and learning from him. She is 9 Sun Divine Maiden. Her attainment in inscription is very high, but compared to Qin Yun, there is still a big gap. Qin Yun's inscription technique has been accumulated over several lifetimes. Moreover, he has different comprehension in each life. For example, in this life, he had a new understanding of inscriptions. Combined with his previous lives, it allowed him to comprehend inscriptions from many different angles, allowing him to have a more thorough understanding. This is a foundation that many inscription masters do not have. It can be said that Qin Yun has this kind of foundation because of a fortuitous coincidence. Therefore, when carving runes, he has almost reached the acme of perfection. Every time he carves runes, he can reach a very high level of finesse. Furthermore, the power of his blood soul was also extremely powerful. This is mainly because his body has become very strong. Body is strong, blood is strong. The power of the blood soul would naturally become stronger. When inscribing runes, it would allow the runes to unleash even greater power. Yu Tian can only use 2 words to evaluate Qin Yun's runes. Completely natural. They look like runes formed by nature. They are filled with a kind of natural Tao charm made by heaven and earth. What made Yu Tian admire the most is that when Qin Yun is carving runes, he looks very relaxed. His expression and posture are very casual. Big Brother Yun, I want to stay here and watch you inscribe more, Yu Tian said with a sweet smile, especially when Big Brother Yun is seriously inscribing. He is very handsome. Yu Tian, you must earnestly study my carving, don't be distracted by my handsomeness. Qin Yun laughed loudly and said, It seems like my handsomeness is not too good. Yution giggled. Her gentle and beautiful face was filled with a sweet smile. The situation outside was still stable. The divine heaven race has entered the 9-yang divine palace. The divine chief and the others have not left because they want to wait for Qin Yun's return. Outside the 9-yang divine palace, there were still several huge ships floating, as well as many small stars. The Chaos Race, Divine Sword Race, and Divine Star Race were all waiting for the 9-yang Palace King to appear. They did not attack the 9-yang Divine Palace, but they brought great pressure to the 9-yang Divine Palace. Qin Yun did not know what the Chaos Race was doing outside. If they wanted to fight, they would have done so long ago. Even if they waited for him to appear, they would not attack the 9-yang Divine Palace in the end. Unless they planned to fight to the death with the Divine Sky Race. Marquis Chang Hao of the Divine Sky Race has a bellyful of anger. If they truly started a war, it would be perfect for him to vent his anger. In the blink of an eye, several days passed. Qin Yun finally completed the 9-dragon heavenly origin formation with the 9-yang Emperor sword. Finally finished. Qin Yun said with smile. Yu Tian, give it to Shao Shi. The 9-yang Emperor swords combined into one and handed it over to Yu Tian. Qin Yun suddenly discovered that Yu Tian can actually control the 9-yang Emperor sword. Yu Tian, what is your current situation? Only Shao Shi can completely control the 9-yang Emperor sword, right? Qin Yun doubtfully asked. Little Shi and I have fused our souls and physical bodies. We only separated after we obtained the 9-yang Larch sword, so my soul and physical body are exactly the same as little Shi's. Yu Tian smiled lightly and said, I also have the 9-yang royal family's bloodline. So that's how it is truly strange. Qin Yun exclaimed in admiration. Shao Shi said that I am also the 9-yang royal family's emperor. Yu Tian put away the 9-yang emperor sword, playfully stuck out her tongue and said with smile. However, I have already decided to become the palace master of the Heaven Creation Divine Palace. The Heaven Creation Divine Palace has many secrets. Qin Yun was originally a member of the Heaven Creation Divine Palace, but because of differences, he left the Heaven Creation Divine Palace. Later on, he found out that the Heaven Creation Divine Palace touched upon all kinds of secret. He didn't even have time to investigate before fighting with the Heavenly Law Divine Realm. If Yu Tian can become the palace master of the Heaven Creation Divine Palace, Qin Yun might be able to infiltrate the Heaven Creation Divine Palace and thoroughly investigate it. Yu Tian, why does Sister Kiru know so many things? Among your 9 Sun Divine Maiden, she knows the most things. Qin Yun is very doubtful. Because she is the most reliable, so her responsibility is great. Even though she is not the big sister, she is shouldering even more missions. Yu Tian said. Qin Yun thought about it carefully and also feels that it is the case. The big sister of the 9 Sun Divine Maiden is precisely the wild girl Xiao Yueme. Big brother Yun, I want to stay in the 9 Sun Divine Palace for a few more days. Little Palace Spirit told me that there are many books here. They are all the experiences you recorded when you studied runes back then. They are very useful to me. Yu Tian said. The atmosphere here is very good. It will allow me to gain more insights. You can stay as long as you want. Qin Yun said with smile. Shao Shi might come after a period of time. I want to see if I can wait for her to come. Yu Tian said with a sweet smile. When the time comes, you can also see what it is like when I am with Shao Shi. That's true. If Sister Bing Xing also came, that would be even better. Qin Yun said with smile. Qin Yun can now finally study the Imperial Heaven Diagram. After he understood the situation outside from the little palace spirit, he entered the secret room. In the secret room, Qin Yun took out the Imperial Heaven Diagram. After taking out the Imperial Heaven Diagram, Qin Yun discovered to his astonishment. The map on the Imperial Heaven Diagram is gone. The imperial heaven diagram has turned light silver, and there are many densely packed golden runes on its surface. What a big change! Qin Yun looked at the imperial heaven diagram and is very astonished. Xiao Yun, what appeared on the imperial heaven diagram? Is it the myriad realms' divine sun? Ling Yun suddenly said. The imperial heaven diagram is square and light silver in color. At this moment there is a golden circle on it. That circle is flickering with a faint golden light, as if it is flowing. It really looks like a myriad realms' divine sun that is shining. And beside this big circle, there is also a small circle. There are two suns above the heavens divine desolate, one big and one small. What is drawn on the imperial heaven diagram is indeed the big and small suns above the heavens divine desolate. When did it appear? Qin Yun doesn't know. Because he studied the imperial heaven diagram before, he didn't find anything, so he put it aside. It is only now that he took it out that he discovered such a big change. Seeing this change, Qin Yun became even more excited. This is at least a breakthrough. He suspects that the imperial heaven diagram might be related to the formation of heaven's divine desolate, heaven's divine moon and myriad realms' divine Sunday. The imperial heaven diagram was stolen by MOG from the Heavenly Law pawnshop. Even Xie Qiru doesn't know the specific situation of the imperial heaven diagram. What is the relationship between this imperial heaven diagram and my 10th divine Xian Dao image? Qin Yun stroked his chin and pondered. Soon after, he dripped blood and used his mental power or soul to permeate the imperial heaven diagram, but there was no reaction at all. Ling Yun said, Xiao Yun, you can ask Yun Long. Yun Long is now the shopkeeper of the Heavenly Law pawnshop, and Qin Yun hasn't looked for him for a long time. Alright. Qin Yun quickly took out the Divine King Heavenly Seal and thought of contacting the Heavenly Law pawnshop. Yun Long is not very busy at the moment, so he is on call. The little palace spirit told Qin Yun that a large white cloud appeared in the sky above the Nine-Yang Divine Palace. That white cloud turned into an old man. Qin Yun asked the little palace spirit to bring the old man in. Qin Yun is sitting in a small hall of the Heavenly Palace Pavilion. Yun Long has arrived. His long white beard fluttered like clouds and mist. That kind-looking old face is smiling, that pair of eyes filled with benevolent light, revealed a kind of old fox-like light. Shopkeeper Yun Long, long time no see. Qin Yun said with a smile. You have finally returned to your Nine-Yang Divine Palace. Congratulations on your return, Palace King. Yun Long said with a smile. And you, the Divine King, don't seem to have returned to your position. The Myriad Realms' Divine Palace shouldn't recognize you, right? Qin Yun waved his hand and said with a smile. I have no interest in entering the Myriad Realms' Divine Palace right now. Yun Long took out a contract talisman and said with a smile. What do you want to pawn or exchange? Shopkeeper Yun Long, we haven't seen each other for a long time. Let's chat a bit more. Qin Yun chuckled and said, Please sit. Palace King, your Nine-Yang Divine Palace is surrounded by powerful enemies. You seem to be quite relaxed right now, right? You should be a bit nervous. Yun Long said. You are the shopkeeper of the Heavenly Law pawnshop. Do you have any suggestions? Qin Yun asked with a smile. Give me 500 Divine Universe golden stones and I can summon a powerful undead army. As for whether or not I can repel those guys, I can't guarantee. Yun Long said, Palace King, you have a lot of Divine Universe golden stones in your hands, you can give it a try. Qin Yun chuckled. He did not want to jump into this kind of pit, instead he said mysteriously, I want to know the secret of the Imperial Heaven Diagram. The Imperial Heaven Diagram has been in your hands for so long, you still haven't figured it out? Yun Long said in surprise. I haven't figured it out. Qin Yun took out the Imperial Heaven Diagram and spread it out on the table. After spreading it out, Qin Yun and Yun Long are immediately alarmed. because on the imperial heaven diagram, other than the big and small myriad realms divine sun, there is also a square blue thing. What is that? It didn't appear before. Qin Yun said. The imperial heaven diagram can allow people to master the imperial heaven technique. As for what it is, I'm not sure either. Yunlong looked at the blue square and said, "This should be the blue sky. This thing might appear in the sky above the divine desolate." Shopkeeper Yunlong, have you heard of the 10th God profound Tao image? Qin Yun asked again. I feel that my 10th God profound Tao image is related to this imperial heaven diagram. Yunlong's expression suddenly changed. He said in a low voice, "You really have the 10th God profound Tao image?" Chapter 2207. Qin Yun already knew that it would be very difficult to cultivate the 10th divine mystic Tao image to the point of manifestation. However, he never expected that this divine mystic Tao image would be so peculiar. It was actually the image of the heavenly Tao. Then, has anyone managed to cultivate it? Asked Qin Yun. Well, this is only a legend that someone managed to cultivate it. Yunlong muttered, "This is just a legend, you can't take it seriously." Legend has it, who managed to cultivate it? Qin Yun's heart stirred as he asked anxiously. If he could find this legendary person, he would be able to learn a thing or two from him. Yunlong's expression was solemn as he said, "Legend has it that this person is the heavenly Tao." Qin Yun was taken aback. He had planned on finding this person, but with Yunlong's words, he immediately dispelled that thought. You just said that the 10th divine mystic Tao image is either heaven or earth. Is it heaven or earth that the heavenly Tao cultivate? Qin Yun asked again. Legend has it that he cultivated the earth. Yunlong sighed. These are all legends, there is no way to verify it. Qin Yun is very surprised. The 10th divine mystic Tao image cultivated by the heavenly Tao is not heaven but earth. Then who managed to cultivate to the heavens? Since you know that the 10th divine profound Tao image is either heaven or earth, then someone must have cultivated it before, that's why there is such a legend. Qin Yun continued to ask. I don't know about that. I read about it in an ancient book. Yunlong shook his head. There is another saying, that is, the 10th God profound Tao image, there will be special circumstances that will cause it to appear, causing it to be neither the sky nor the earth. This kind of thing couldn't be verified, because they were all recorded in those ancient books. They were all just legends. However, Qin Yun felt that it was most likely true. Siekiru had said that the imperial sky painting could help him cultivate the 10th divine mystic Tao image. This meant that the 10th divine mystic Tao image was very likely to be the sky. He needed the imperial sky diagram to completely control the heavens. How many profound God Tao veins have you open now? Yunlong asked. If you have more meridians, the further you go, the harder it is to open them. The requirements on the body are extremely high. If your Tao image is very strong, then when you open your profound divine veins, the requirements for your physical body will be even higher. Only 6 meridians have been opened for now, Qin Yun said. Although you still have 4 meridians to open, it will be extremely difficult for you to open each meridian. Yunlong sighed. Also, whether or not you can cultivate the 10th divine profound Tao image in the end is also unknown. Qin Yun obtained the divine heaven race's bloodline divine source. He originally thought that after fusing with it, he would be able to open his 7th meridian. However, the bloodline God source origin was absorbed by the 10th divine profound Tao idol. This was out of his expectations. By the way, is my mother free now? Qin Yun asked. She's working for the heavenly Tao. What is she doing? She's not free right now. She met Xiao Yuelon once last time. Yunlong said. I don't know what she did for the heavenly Tao. In short, she obtained the approval of the heavenly Tao. Qin Yun was very puzzled by the heavenly Tao. The natural law divine realm created by the heavenly Tao could be said to be an evil force, but whether the heavenly Tao itself was evil or good, it was hard to figure out. The information that Qin Yun had now grasped was that the so-called heavenly Tao only controlled a very powerful force. It could establish a very powerful nomological force to restrain multiple spaces, allowing living beings to grow under the heavenly Tao laws. All sorts of living beings would be able to bloom and form a gorgeous world. All right, when my mother is free, remember to arrange for me to meet her. Qin Yun also misses his mother very much. No problem, Yun Long said with a smile. Palace King, if you can successfully cultivate the 10th divine profound Tao idol, your future will definitely be limitless. The heavenly Tao has undergone nirvana. What's the situation now? When will it be able to undergo nirvana rebirth? Qin Yun asked. I don't know either. Yun Long shook his head and said, this kind of thing is simply impossible to predict. As the shopkeeper of the Heavenly Law pawnshop, Yun Long has accepted more and more people's pawns during this period of time. The Heavenly Law pawnshop's main purpose is to collect some very special things or powerful souls. The existence of the Heavenly Law pawnshop is also extremely mysterious. Yun Long and Qin Yun chatted for a while before leaving the Nine Yang Divine Palace. Qin Yun returned to the secret room and continued studying the Imperial Heaven diagram. The 10th Divine Profound Tao idol has absorbed the Divine Heaven race's bloodline divine origin. It should be considered to have blood. Next, it should need to absorb powerful energy to nurture a powerful body. Qin Yun also doesn't dare to confirm that his 10th Divine Profound Tao idol is the heavens. He quickly took out the 9 altars and formed the 9 dragons' heaven origin formation. The 9 dragons' heavenly origin array was activated, frantically absorbing the energy of the divine universe Purple Sunday. With a thought, Qin Yun released the heavenly Tao divine pattern. The imperial sky painting should have something to do with the heavenly Tao. Perhaps I can help him through the heavenly Tao divine rune. The 9 dragons' heaven origin formation transformed the energy of the divine universe Purple Sun, making it easier to absorb. Qin Yun gave it a try. Sure enough, the 10th Divine Mystic Tao image could absorb the Divine Universe Purple Sun's Divine Universe Purple Qi. It was just that the rate of growth was a little slow. Previously, he had also tried, but the 10th Divine Profound Tao image was unable to absorb the Divine Universe Violet Qi at all. Only now could he absorb it. It was obvious that it had fused with the Divine Heaven Bloodline Divine Source. It is effective. The 10th God Xian Tao image needs to absorb a lot of energy. Qin Yun felt a lot relieved in his heart. Next, he used the Heavenly Tao divine pattern to connect his soul with the Imperial Sky diagram to comprehend the things within it. In just a moment, Qin Yun saw the runes on the Imperial Heaven diagram's surface suddenly flow slowly. Those are Tao spread runes, but those runes are all heavenly runes. Tao spread heavenly runes are very powerful and incomparably profound runes. Through the heavenly Tao divine pattern, Qin Yun can see that the incomparably dense and complex runes are changing and flowing. However, he can't understand what those runes represent. Xiao Yun, use your heavenly eye, Ling Yuner said. Qin Yun promptly opened his heavenly eye to look at those runes. However, he still can't understand the Tao spread heavenly runes on the Imperial Heaven diagram's surface. It's too complicated, but I can be sure that the secret of the Imperial Heaven diagram is under these Tao spread heavenly runes. Qin Yun tightly frowned. Those Tao spread heavenly runes are like dense fog. Only by removing this dense fog can one know the secret under the Imperial Heaven diagram. Although the 10th God Xian Tao image can absorb the Divine Universe Violet Qi, the absorption speed is too slow. According to this speed, it will take thousands of years or even tens of thousands of years for the 10th God Xian Tao image to take shape. Qin Yun can't wait that long. He feels that there must be a hidden technique inside the imperial heaven diagram that can make the 10th God Xian Dao image appear even faster. Qin Yun took a deep breath, stopped the 9-dragon heavenly origin formation, and closed his eyes. He doesn't want to think about anything now. He put aside the matter of cultivating the 10th God Xian Dao image and the imperial heaven diagram. Instead, he concentrated on controlling the heavenly Dao divine rune image to enter his eyes. The most mysterious Empyrean inscription spirit is hidden inside the heavenly eye. Qin Yun remembers that Mu Yu said that the Empyrean inscription spirit is inside the heavenly eye. To wield the heavenly Dao, one needs the Empyrean inscription spirit. Only by mastering the Empyrean inscription spirit can one understand the extremely complicated Dao spread heavenly runes of the imperial heaven diagram. Therefore, Qin Yun now wants to obtain the Empyrean inscription spirit from the heavenly eye. At this moment, Qin Yun opened his eyes. They are emitting a purple-red light. The heavenly eye has always been like this, but now it is gradually turning blue. If you look directly into his eyes, it is as if you can see a boundless blue sky. Ah! Qin Yun screamed in pain. His eyes suddenly hurt, and at the same time, he felt something drilling into his body through his eyes. It's out! Qin Yun is ecstatic. The Empyrean inscription spirit hidden inside the heavenly eye has finally appeared. He used the heavenly Dao divine rune image to draw out the Empyrean inscription spirit from the heavenly eye. After the Empyrean inscription spirit entered his body, it erupted with a very strong power, causing his body to swell up. Qin Yun promptly controlled the nether sun and crazily devoured the purple-red Empyrean inscription spirit. The nether sun can quickly devour all kinds of soul bodies and fuse them. The Empyrean inscription spirit is very peculiar. After it dispersed, it covered every part of Qin Yun's body. The Empyrean inscription spirit is frantically resisting, that is why it is hurting Qin Yun's body. Feeling the formidable power of the inscription spirit, Qin Yun is secretly alarmed in his heart. His current body is very strong. He can barely suppress the Empyrean inscription spirit. If he had just obtained the heavenly eye and drawn out the Empyrean inscription spirit, his body would have been torn to shreds. Little thing, submit to me. Qin Yun's nether sun completely released its devouring power. The Empyrean inscription spirit is also gradually being absorbed by the nether sun. Half a day later, Qin Yun's nether sun suddenly trembled. The Empyrean inscription spirit has already been devoured by the nether sun, but it has not completely fused with it. It is still tenaciously resisting. Yuner, take care of that little thing. Qin Yun said with smile. It has already entered my nether sun, it still wants to come out? Very good, the Empyrean inscription spirit is finally in my hands. Ling Yuner said with smile. Qin Yun has mastered many inscription spirit. These inscription spirits are very precious. Now he can only let the Moon Lady inscription spirit manifest. After the inscription spirit manifests, its power is very strong, especially during the inscription battle. As the nether sun slowly rotated, the trembling also gradually disappeared. Qin Yun has completely controlled the Empyrean inscription spirit. Now all kinds of divine sense are pouring into his mind. Before, he didn't understand anything about heavenly runes, but now it is gradually becoming clear. He looked at the imperial heaven diagram on the table and faintly smiled. Sure enough, the Empyrean inscription spirit is the key. Xiao Yun, what did you see? Ling Yuner asked. The imperial heaven diagram's Dao evolution heavenly rune has formed 4 characters. Qin Yun said with smile. 9 suns imperial heaven. 9 suns imperial heaven? What does this have to do with the 9-sun heavenly domain? Ling Yuner said in shock. The 9 suns of the 9-sun heavenly domain are formed for the imperial heaven. It's just that 9 ordinary heavenly suns are too weak, that's why they evolved into myriad realms divine suns. Qin Yun said. Ling Yuner is also very excited, she asked. Xiao Yun, did you find a method to quickly cultivate the 10th God profound Tao image? Indeed. Qin Yun opened the 9-dragon heavenly origin formation again and said, through the Imperial Heaven Diagram's Tao Evolution Heavenly Rune, I can quickly absorb energy and make the 10th God profound Tao image appear. Chapter 2208. Qin Yun finally had a breakthrough while exploring the Imperial Heaven Diagram. He knows that the Imperial Heaven Diagram is used to cultivate and control the 10th Divine Mystic Tao image. He was currently using the Imperial Sky Diagram and the 9 Dragons Heavenly Origin Array to rapidly absorb the energy of the Divine Universe Purple Sunday previously, when the 10th Divine Profound Tao Idol absorbed the Divine Cosmos Purple Chi, it was extremely slow. Now, with the help of the Imperial Sky Diagram, the 10th Mysterious God Tao Idol was rapidly taking shape and gradually taking shape. Is the 10th Divine Profound Tao Idol really the Heavenly Tao Idol? Qin Yun looked at the blurry 10th Divine Mystic Tao image in his body. Although it was about to manifest, he still found it unbelievable that he could cultivate the Heavenly Tao image. Although it was only a Tao image, the Heavenly Tao image was definitely one of the strongest mysterious spirit Tao images. The Imperial Heaven Diagram constantly emitted many threads that wrapped around Qin Yun's arm. They looked like golden hair wrapping around Qin Yun's arm. As they absorbed the Divine Universe purple energy, those threads would gradually turn purplish red, and then quickly turn back to gold. Such an alternation of colors was very mystical. I've only managed to pry open some of the secrets of the Imperial Sky Diagram. I still don't know how to use it. Qin Yun looked at the Imperial Heaven chart. He felt that the Imperial Heaven chart still had many uses. Only after the Imperial Heaven Ascending Diagram converted the Divine Universe Purple Chi into energy could the 10th Divine Profound Tao Idol absorb it quickly. This process did not bring Qin Yun any pain. Instead, he felt a comfortable warmth wrap around his arm. Ling Yuner said, Xiao Yun, there might be some secret technique inside the Imperial Heaven Diagram. If you have time, you should study it properly. Qin Yun opened his heavenly eye. It has already turned blue. Even those who were familiar with the heaven's eyes would not be able to recognize them as the heaven's eyes. Although the Empyrean inscription spirit inside the heavenly eye was drawn out by Qin Yun, the heavenly eye did not weaken. Instead, it became stronger. Qin Yun could clearly sense that the heavenly eye was even more penetrating. The current heavenly eye is my own heavenly eye. Qin Yun suddenly had this kind of intense feeling. The core of the heavenly eye must be the Empyrean inscription spirit. And the Empyrean inscription spirit has already been obtained by Qin Yun. If I succeed in cultivating the heavenly Tao image, maybe I can make the heavenly eye and Empyrean inscription spirit stronger. Ling Yuner said with a smile. Cultivating the heavenly Tao is definitely very dangerous. Otherwise, there wouldn't be 9 suns Imperial Heaven. Qin Yun said, Yuner, we must be extremely cautious. Ling Yuner said, Xiao Yun, you should have 3 suns on your body. You and I each have another sun, plus the Divine Universe Purple Sun. You are not far from 9 suns. Qin Yun nodded. He is quite looking forward to cultivating the Tao spirit. After cultivating the heavenly Tao statue, if he used it to open up the Xian Shen Tao meridian, the divine power he would obtain would definitely be extremely powerful. After half a day, Qin Yun suddenly felt a very powerful aura surging within his body. This Tao spirit power came from the 10th profound Tao spirit Tao image. Such dreadful heavenly might! Qin Yun exclaimed in admiration. Combined with heavenly might Tao technique, it will surely be very strong. Almost finished, it is a purple oval-shaped crystal. Qin Yun looked inside his body. The heavenly Tao image is very big, it is about the same size as the nether sun. Miraculously, such a big heavenly Tao image can actually hide inside the nether sun. There was already a heavenly Tao divine rune inside the nether sun, and now another heavenly Tao image is inside. This heavenly Tao image is quite good at hiding. It knows that the inside of the nether sun is very safe. Qin Yun said with mischievous smile. Now it has finally been cultivated. The 10 divine profound Tao images have completely appeared. Next, he only needs to improve his body and open the Xian divine Tao meridian. After cultivating the heavenly Tao image, Qin Yun sensed that his divine power has become a lot stronger. The main aspect of divine power is that its might has increased a lot. This kind of heavenly might is very powerful and mystical. It can give people a very strong mental pressure. Furthermore, if the heavenly might accompanying divine power is strong enough, it can have even stronger penetrating power and can easily break through all kinds of energy barriers. After the Imperial Heaven diagram helped Qin Yun cultivate the heavenly Tao image, it returned to its original appearance. It has a light silver surface and there are 2 myriad realms divine suns on it. Apart from this, there is also a blue square object. Yun Long said before that it is some blue sky universe. Qin Yun did not ask what it is. He only knows that it is definitely a very large celestial body. Big Brother Palace King, there is a fight outside. The young palace spirit's voice arrived. Did those ancient races attack the 9 Yang Divine Palace? Qin Yun is not very worried about being attacked. The 9 Yang Divine Palace's defense is extremely strong. Now that it has obtained the protection of the myriad realms Divine Sun and the Divine Heaven race, it will not be easy for those 3 ancient races to break through. They did not attack the 9 Yang Divine Palace. Instead, the Divine Sword race and the Divine Heaven race are fighting outside. The young palace spirit said. Qin Yun left the secret room and arrived at a large hall outside. Yu Tian is still in the heavenly Tao pagoda. She is in that large hall. After Qin Yun came out, he waved his hand, causing a painting on the wall of the large hall to fluctuate. After the painting fluctuated a bit, the situation outside the 9 Yang Divine Palace can be seen. Sure enough, the youngsters of the Divine Sword race and the Divine Heaven race are fighting outside. I thought it would be Shen Ruoming fighting. After this guy lost to me, I wonder if he can pull himself together, Qin Yun said. He also saw Shen Ruoming watching from the side. Although Shen Ruoming's origin sword was shattered in the battle with Qin Yun, it quickly condensed back together. Qin Yun also showed mercy to Shen Ruoming. Otherwise, Shen Ruoming would have been killed long ago. Shen Ruoming himself knows this the best. Qin Yun only took a glance and said, "The Divine Heaven race's sword cultivator will lose without a doubt." Yu Tian also put down the ancient book in her hand. Her beautiful eyes stared at the huge painting on the wall and watched the battle. Because she is also a sword user, she is very interested in the battle between sword cultivators. Big Brother Yun, the Divine Heaven race's sword cultivator, has the upper hand. Why do you say that he will lose without a doubt? Yu Tian doubtfully asked. The Divine Sword race's sword technique is very sinister. Moreover, that sword is not an ordinary origin sword but a poisonous snake sword. Qin Yun said, "Look carefully at his sword, there is a snake totem on it. Those runes can release poison power." Yu Tian carefully looked and said in shock, "Sure enough, I thought it was a dragon totem. That guy's snake totem was actually disguised as a dragon totem. The Divine Sword race's guy is truly sinister," the little palace spirit said. At this moment, when the Divine Sword race's sword tip pierced forward, it suddenly turned into a black malevolent snake. The snake's head bit forward like lightning, its poisonous fangs bit into the Divine Heaven race's sword cultivator's neck and frantically injected poison. In the blink of an eye, the Divine Heaven race's young sword cultivator's entire body turned purple-white. His entire body is emitting a light purple poisonous gas. It looked like a purple corpse that had been frozen. It was extremely horrifying. Shen Changhao cursed, "Despicable," then his body flashed and caught the poisoned young sword cultivator. He quickly helped him detoxify the poison. "That poisonous snake is not simple. I will go out and take a look," Qin Yun said. "Yu Tian, are you going?" "I won't go." Yu Tian gently smiled. "I want to stay here and read books." Nine-Yang Divine Palace's Central Hall. Divine Heaven Race's people hurriedly helped the young sword cultivator detoxify the poison. That young sword cultivator is a heavenly god. His strength is not ordinary. Just like Shen Ruoming, he is also a young genius sword cultivator of the Divine Heaven Race. If there is any mishap, Shen Changhao will also blame himself. He is deeply poisoned. Divine Judge is also watching from the side, he said with frown. This poison is very strange, it seems like it is accompanied by runes and entered the body. Medicine God and Pill God are also here. They were once Qin Yun's old friends. They came here to see their old friend. Medicine God said. This is a type of inscription ancient poison, a group of very complex runes, condensed to the size of a strand of hair and entered the body. Moreover, this group of inscription ancient poison is constantly multiplying, 1 begets 2, 2 begets 4. His body is already filled with inscription ancient poison. An old man from the Heaven Creation Divine Palace shook his head and sighed. He patted Shen Changhao's shoulder and said, "Restrain your grief and accept the vicissitudes. That bastard, it is clearly a sword competition, but he actually used poison." Shen Ruoming's face is filled with cold anger as he said, "I want to go out and kill him." "Even if you go out, you will only be throwing away your life. If we lose again, our losses will be great." Shen Changhao shouted coldly, "Don't be impulsive." Medicine God said, "Quickly send this young man on his way, he is in great pain now. This kind of poison is very difficult to detoxify." Shen Changhao and the others are from Divine Heaven Race, they have some understanding of Divine Sword Race's methods. At this moment, Shen Changhao's face is filled with grief. He wants to give this young sword cultivator a quick and painless death. Above the main hall is the entrance to the Heavenly Palace. Qin Yun suddenly slowly descended from the sky. He is wearing simple white clothes, his handsome face has a smile on it. He looks very amiable, but he has the aura of a strong expert. "Wait, I can detoxify this poison," Qin Yun lightly shouted. "You have been in Nine-Yang Divine Palace all this time?" Shen Changhao saw Qin Yun appear and felt very unhappy in his heart. Bai Si, Sword Hall Elder, Dragon Hall Elder, as well as many elders of Nine-Yang Divine Palace promptly stepped forward and saluted. Qin Yun casually waved his hand and said with smile, "My Nine-Yang Divine Palace does not have such troublesome etiquette." Palace King. "We truly have eyes but failed to see, we did not know that you had returned, please forgive us." Dragon Hall Elder lowered his head, not daring to look straight at Qin Yun. "All these years, you have worked hard to protect Nine-Yang Divine Palace, what crime have you committed?" Qin Yun said with smile and then walked towards Shen Changhao. Bai Si is very excited. After knowing that Qin Yun is the Palace King, she became very reserved. She doesn't dare to speak carelessly in front of Qin Yun, she can only silently follow behind him. "You can detoxify poison?" Although Shen Changhao is very unhappy with Qin Yun, he knows that this Nine-Yang Palace King has true ability. Chapter 2209. Qin Yun is currently lacking bloodline divine origin. The divine heaven bloodline divine origin was absorbed by the heavenly Tao image. Now his body needs to absorb it. Only like this can he smoothly open the seventh mysterious divine Tao meridian. Bloodline divine origin is nothing to a marquis like Shen Changhao. That is why Qin Yun asked for two. because Ling Yun'er's fairy body also needs one. As long as you can detoxify Shen Ruolang, two bloodline divine origin is not a problem. Shen Changhao is also very curious about why Qin Yun needs so many bloodline divine origin. Because everyone knows that he has powerful purple blood, it can be said to be the strongest bloodline among the powerful races. There is no need to fuse with bloodline divine origin. Little brother, can you really detoxify it? Medicine God said, I know you have great divine ability, but this poison is inscription ancient poison. Indeed, this inscription ancient poison can be considered a kind of heavenly rune. This kind of poison power is created by using very powerful blood spirit power through heavenly rune. It is very profound. Pill God nodded and said, Pill God and Medicine God did not team up with Thunder God and others, so they are still Qin Yun's good friends. Brothers, this poison is indeed very strong, but it is not a problem for me. Qin Yun smiled confidently. That day at the Medicine King Assembly, they also saw Qin Yun's poison and detoxification method. However, the poison in Shen Ruolang's body came from a powerful ancient race. Divine Judge said from the side, This inscription ancient poison is constantly producing new poison runes. It has completely penetrated into the soul, flesh and bones. It is very difficult to completely remove. Qin Yun used his heavenly eye to see that there is a large amount of inscription ancient poison inside Shen Ruolang's body. This poison transformed into runes, like countless tiny poisonous insects, densely multiplying inside Shen Ruolang's body. This is indeed a very strong inscription ancient poison. Under normal circumstances, it would be impossible to remove it. However, Qin Yun can remove it. He just mastered the Empyrean inscription spirit and has a very high level of control over heavenly runes. This inscription ancient poison evolved from heavenly runes. In essence, it has the characteristics of heavenly runes. Therefore, Qin Yun can use the Empyrean inscription spirit to suppress this inscription ancient poison. Qin Yun's palm suddenly overflowed with blue light. If you look carefully, you can see that the runes on his palm are flowing. He instantly condensed a set of powerful runes in his palm. This was something he had created on the spur of the moment, combining the many profound runes he had mastered. There are star runes, moon runes, sun runes, and they are all god-tier runes. Many different profound runes fused together and flowed in his palm, forming a Dao Yen rune. Combining many different kinds of runes, like a brilliant apothecary, according to the symptoms, he quickly formed a prescription in his mind. Seeing Qin Yun instantly condense an inscription, furthermore it was such a profound inscription, it immediately caused the hearts of all the inscription masters present to tremble. Rune Dao 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 Yun Ming. Dao Dao Runes' runes and rank rune ancestor Yun Dragon Emperor Emperor's heart. Divine power is God Emperor is Dragon sect brother Yun is sect brother. King. God. Emperor is. God Dragon is Chi is Dragon Emperor body. Shen. Cold is Dragon is King is. Shen Ruolang's body is ice cold, purple and shriveled. The main reason is that the energy in his body is being crazily extracted. Qin Yun's blood soul power is released by Empyrean inscription spirit. Therefore, the runes he just condensed can easily suppress the inscription ancient poison. Through his heavenly eye, he can see that the blue runes he condensed are quickly spreading inside Shen Ruolang's body and gradually devouring the inscription ancient poison. It's about time. It's just that his body is seriously injured. Rest a lot and eat some replenishing pills. He will recover very quickly. Qin Yun saw Shen Ruolang open his eyes and said indifferently. Shen Ruolang woke up very quickly and the poison in his body has been completely removed. Everyone in the great hall looked at Qin Yun with incomparable admiration. This Nine-Yang Palace king truly lives up to his reputation, not to mention being proficient in inscription pill technique. His own strength is unfathomable. Even the Divine Heaven clan, a powerful clan that is very unhappy with Qin Yun, cannot help but secretly admire him. This is your bloodline divine origin. Shen Changhao took out 2 bloodline divine origin and handed them over to Qin Yun. Qin Yun took them and asked, "Many thanks. Oh, that's right, why are you fighting them? Is there any agreement?" "We have an agreement with Divine Sword Race to send out youngsters to compete. 2 out of 3 wins. If we win, they will leave. If we lose, we will have to give them 200 Divine Universe Golden Stones." Shen Changhao said. "So what if they don't leave? Why fight them?" Qin Yun shook his head and smiled. "We promised you that we would protect Nine-Yang Palace for 10 years. Divine Sword Race, Primal Chaos Race and Divine Star Race all want to attack Nine-Yang Palace. If Divine Sword Race agrees not to attack Nine-Yang Palace for 10 years, it will be a lot easier for us." Shen Changhao said. "Palace King, our Nine-Yang Palace's defense is very strong. Even if they attack together, it will be very difficult for them to break our barrier." Bai Si said in low voice. Divine Judge said, "Primal Chaos Race, Divine Sword Race and Divine Star Race will send out helpers one after another. Their dukes will not make a move, so don't be too confident that Nine-Yang Palace's barrier will be able to block them." Nine-Yang Palace King, your Nine-Yang Palace is rather ancient. Whether or not your barrier is reliable is hard to say. Shen Changhao said, "It's better to be cautious. Our barrier." Bai Si did not finish speaking when Qin Yun waved his hand. Qin Yun is very clear about how strong Nine-Yang Palace's barrier is. "Divine Sky Race, I know that you have some complaints about me in your heart, but you don't have to worry too much. I won't let you bear too much pressure." Qin Yun said, "My Nine-Yang Palace will rise very soon. In Nine-Yang Palace, you are the only one who can fight." Shen Ruoming's eyes are filled with disdain as he looked at Bai Si, Sword Hall Elder and other higher-ups. There must be a process of growth. Now that I am back, Nine-Yang Palace will rise again. Qin Yun's calm tone is filled with an unquestionable arrogance. At this time, Divine Sword Race people shouted from outside, "Divine Sky Race people, quickly send people out to fight." Shen Ruoming cursed in low voice, "Let me take care of that viper sword." Xie Wufeng said, "If you go out, you will also be bitten. If you lose again, you will lose 200 Divine Universe Golden Stones. Save it. Don't look down on people." Shen Ruoming said. "Then go ahead," Xie Wufeng said with sneer. He can naturally see Shen Ruoming's level. Shen Ruoming suffered a heavy blow. Not only did he lose miserably to Qin Yun, this one-armed sword god also looks down on him. Shen Changhao naturally doesn't want to lose 200 Divine Universe Golden Stones. He promptly stopped the impulsive Shen Ruoming, looked at Qin Yun and asked, "Nine-Yang Palace King, do you have a brilliant plan? We should calmly join forces. This is the most beneficial for both of us." Qin Yun took out the Myriad Heaven Divine Saber. When he held the saber this time, he could feel the formidable heavenly rune power inside the Myriad Heaven Divine Saber. The Myriad Heaven Divine Saber evolved from the 9 Desolate Divine Saber, and there is a mysterious bloodline heavenly rune box inside the 9 Desolate Divine Saber. Qin Yun suddenly thought that after he grasps the Empyrean inscription spirit, he might be able to open the box. He firmly held the Myriad Heaven Divine Saber and sensed even stronger heavenly rune power, causing the saber to release even stronger power. The divine saber is filled with vast and mighty heavenly might, disdainfully looking down on the heaven and earth. It engulfed the entire main hall like a tide. The people standing beside Qin Yun all retreated in fright due to the imposing aura. "You? What are you doing?" Shen Changhao is also startled and asked. When Qin Yun used the Myriad Heaven Divine Saber before, his aura was not this strong. It has only been a few days and he has already made such great progress. "I will go out and take care of that Viper Sword person. This way they will send out another guy who doesn't know how to use poison. Shen Ruoming will then go out and fight. It will be a lot easier. Qin Yun said with smile. Isn't this a very good method? Everyone immediately became silent. This is indeed a very good method, but only Qin Yun dares to do this. There is a duke on the Divine Sword Race's ship outside. It is easy to go out and kill Viper Sword, but he will definitely be targeted by the duke. Palace King, this is very risky. Sword Hall Elder said. I ask you to carefully consider. Just as he finished speaking, he felt a burst of spatial fluctuation arrive. Qin Yun suddenly disappeared from the main hall. The young palace spirit teleported Qin Yun out of the Nine-Yang Divine Palace. After Qin Yun went out, he saw Viper Sword Person holding the Viper Divine Sword. He is proudly looking at the entrance of the Nine-Yang Divine Palace. Seeing someone come out, Viper Sword Person thought that his opponent has arrived. However, he quickly discovered that the person who came out is not holding a sword but a saber. Viper Sword Person was not in the palace hall before, so he doesn't recognize that the saber is the Myriad Heaven Divine Saber. He also doesn't recognize Qin Yun. Most of the Divine Sword Race's youths in the Sword Sun Great Hall have died. You are? Divine Sky Race sent you to fight? Viper Sword Person saw Qin Yun and asked in cold voice. No, I am here to send you on your way. Qin Yun's light transformation, sacred pupil and transcending void step are extremely fast. Just as he finished speaking, he already appeared in front of Viper Sword Person. After Qin Yun arrived, he released supergravity and shook Viper Sword Person. Then, he slashed down with his saber. Flames surged like a monstrous wave and directly killed Viper Sword Person. Shen Changhao and others just ran out of the Nine-Yang Divine Palace's main hall and saw Viper Sword Person turn into flames and fall to the ground. After Qin Yun killed Viper Sword Person, he hastily used Transcending Void Step and in the blink of an eye, returned to the Nine-Yang Divine Palace's entrance. Chapter 2210. The Nine-Yang Divine Palace's barrier has also been fully activated. The entire Divine Palace is surrounded by dense Myriad Realms Divine Sun power. It can be seen that this Nine-Yang Divine Palace is supported by the Myriad Realms Divine Sunday. With the support of the Myriad Realms Divine Sun, the Nine-Yang Divine Palace's barrier has an unending stream of powerful energy. It will not be easy to break through. If the Nine-Yang Divine Palace still had a killing formation to attack, even the battleships of those strong races might not be able to withstand it. In these 10 years, with our Divine Heaven race here, they might be a bit afraid. But after 10 years, we will leave the Nine-Yang Divine Palace, and you will be in danger. Shen Changhao said. 10 years? Every year, the Divine Desolate changes greatly. No one knows what will happen after 10 years. Especially now, the Myriad Realms Divine Sun is in a very active state. We will have more opportunities to become stronger faster. Qin Yun said. What Qin Yun said is not false. Because currently the Divine Desolate is changing more and more. Even those strong races have discovered that more and more powerful creatures have appeared in the Divine Desolate. Not only beasts, they have even encountered powerful humans from unknown races. Nine-Yang Divine Palace, it is not that we are afraid of you, but we have more important things to do. When we return, it will be the day the Nine-Yang Divine Palace is destroyed. An ice-cold hoarse voice came from outside, accompanied by a very powerful aura, accompanied by a gale that enveloped the entire Nine-Yang Divine Palace. This is clearly the voice of a duke. It is the Divine Sword Race's duke. His ice-cold voice is accompanied by an angry sword aura. The gale formed is like countless translucent swords, blotting out the sky and covering the earth as they charged towards the Nine-Yang Divine Palace. The Nine-Yang Divine Palace let out a slight tremble. The powerful barrier blocked the countless translucent sword energy. The day you attack the 9-yang divine palace is the day you die. Qin Yun's voice is filled with imposing aura as it spread out from the 9-yang divine palace. Then let's wait and see. Divine Sword Race's fiery red giant ship also flew away at this moment, flying high into the sky. Soon after, the Divine Star Race's stars and the Primal Chaos Race's ships all flew into the sky. After the 3 great races left, Shin Chonghao and the others let out a long sigh of relief. This was especially true for the Grand Inquisitor. If a fight broke out here, it would be a huge headache for him. Do they really have something urgent to do? The Sword Hall Elder asked doubtfully. With their strength, they shouldn't be scared away. Shin Chonghao said, they really do have something important to do. All the powerful races have sent dukes. Only you don't know what they are going to do. The Dragon Palace Elder hurriedly said, then tell us. This is our secret. We can't tell anyone. Shin Chonghao was tight-lipped. Qin Yun looked at the nameless old man. The nameless old man quickly shook his head and said, I don't know anything. Those powerful ancient races also had important matters to attend to, but they couldn't leak this matter. Shun Ruoming said, if you knew about this, it would definitely be even more chaotic, so they definitely wouldn't say anything. I will have a way to find out. Qin Yun smiled indifferently. Soon after, Qin Yun, Pill God, Medicine God, Xie Wufeng and the others began chatting. Suddenly, Divine Judge asked to speak with Qin Yun alone. Qin Yun agreed. After all, this Divine Judge is a very good person. He took good care of Xie Wufeng and Xian Rujing in Myriad Realms' Divine Court. Moreover, Qin Yun wants to ask the Divine Judge about some secret matters. Qin Yun arrived at Heavenly Palace Hall with the Divine Judge and entered an elegant small hall. Divine Judge, if you want me to hand over the Divine King Heavenly Seal, it is impossible. Qin Yun sat down and said with smile. Although the Divine Judge is a very dignified old man, in front of Qin Yun, he doesn't put on any airs. He said with bright smile, of course it is impossible. I am not stupid enough to ask you this kind of request in your territory. My Divine King Heavenly Seal has great influence on God positions. Poison God, Grass God, Rain God and the others were all taken back by me. Qin Yun said. Qin Yun did not say that he killed them. He only said that he took back their God positions. However, the Divine Judge knows that most of Thunder God's subordinates have already been killed by Qin Yun. Thunder God still has half of his avatar in Myriad Realms' Divine Court. I will bring him back as soon as possible and let you take back his God position. But I have a request. After I find a suitable candidate, I hope you can pass on the God position. The God position is in Qin Yun's hands, only he can pass on the God position. This. Qin Yun's expression is filled with hesitation. He did not agree. The order that Myriad Realms' Divine Son gave me is to protect the Myriad Realms' Divine Court, to let the Myriad Realms' Divine Court maintain the order of Divine Wasteland, so that Divine Wasteland can grow in an orderly manner. The Divine Chief said, and the Myriad Realms' Divine Court needs these deity positions. Qin Yun said, Divine King Heavenly Seal is in my hands, but its power has not been taken back by Myriad Realms' Divine Son. What does this mean? Palace King, you used to be the God King but now is the present. Myriad Realms' Divine Court has new rules. It will not follow the old rules. This is also the will of Myriad Realms' Divine Son. Divine Judge said. Qin Yun took out the Divine King Heavenly Seal and said, I can agree to pass on the God position, but I can't pass it on for free. Divine Judge said with smile, don't worry, we can discuss the conditions. Myriad Realms' Divine Son will regularly send me a certain amount of resources, maybe it is to satisfy my conditions. Divine Judge, what is the current situation of Myriad Realms' Divine Son? I really don't understand. Qin Yun asked. Myriad Realms' Divine Son is formed by itself. At the same time, there is also a group of people secretly helping and protecting it. Only then can Myriad Realm's divine son be born smoothly. I don't know what kind of existence that group of people are. I only know that they are very powerful, and they can't even descend into Myriad Realm's divine desolate. Divine Judge's expression became somewhat solemn. There are people inside Myriad Realm's divine son? Qin Yun said with frown. Maybe. Divine Judge said, in short, we can only make groundless accusations. There is one more thing. I hope Divine Judge will pay more attention to it. Qin Yun said in low voice. Is Love God also in Myriad Realm's divine court? Speaking of Love God, Divine Judge's expression slightly changed. He said, that woman is indeed still in Myriad Realm's divine court. Palace King, you want to touch her? Everyone knows that Love God is only an avatar, her true body is Heavenly Mother. She also obtained Primal Chaos Race's bloodline inheritance. She is in cahoots with Thunder God. Yes, she is my enemy, I want to kill her. Divine Judge, don't stop me, this guy's heart is not righteous, he is not worthy of a god position. Qin Yun said. I won't stop you, but if you want to touch her, I am afraid it won't be that easy. The Divine Chief looked at Qin Yun and said, when you attack her, you must be very careful, Love God is not easy to deal with. Oh? Why didn't you stop me? Qin Yun asked doubtfully. Because I also want her god position to be stripped. Divine Judge said, Love God is very rampant in Myriad Realm's divine court, I can't suppress her. Qin Yun slightly inhaled and said, even you can't suppress her. Could it be that her backer is very strong? Her backer is Myriad Realm's divine son. She has a weapon bestowed by Myriad Realm's divine Sunday. As for why Myriad Realm's divine son wants to do this, I don't know. Divine Judge said. Why would Myriad Realm's divine son want to do this? Qin Yun's face is filled with doubt, he pondered. I have a guess. Myriad Realm's divine son wants to use her to suppress you. It's very difficult to take back the God King Heavenly Seal in your hands. Maybe the Myriad Realm's divine son wants to use her to take away your God King Heavenly Seal. The Divine Chief said. In short, she has great power in the Myriad Realm's divine court. Qin Yun suddenly said with smile. Maybe she wants to suppress you. Divine Judge also said with smile. Maybe. Divine Judge, do you have a way to let me communicate with Myriad Realm's divine son? Qin Yun has always wanted to communicate with Myriad Realm's divine Sunday. After I return, I will give it a try. Divine Judge said. Logically speaking, your Nine-Yang Divine Palace is connected to Myriad Realm's divine Sunday. You can completely communicate with Myriad Realm's divine son yourself. Qin Yun shook his head and said, I can't do it. Little Palace Spirit's connection with Myriad Realm's divine son is also very strange. It can't help him build a bridge. Oh right, you are very curious about what important matter those powerful ancient races want to do. Divine Star Race, Divine Sword Race and Primal Chaos Race, their dukes suddenly left just now because of that matter. Divine Judge said with mysterious smile. Those powerful ancient races want to establish a separate region in Divine Desolate. I will prevent this from happening. What did they go to do? Qin Yun is indeed curious because even the nameless old man hid this matter from him. This is the information I obtained from Myriad Realm's divine Sunday. Something called Blue Heavenly Cosmos will appear in the sky. There is something inside that blue heavenly cosmos. As for what it is, I don't know either. Divine Judge said, it might be the inheritance from beyond the heavens. Inheritance from beyond the heavens. Qin Yun and Yun Long saw the blue square object appear through the imperial heaven diagram. Although this is the heavens, there is still beyond the heavens. Divine Judge said, in short, the things inside the blue heavenly cosmos must not be monopolized by the powerful ancient races. Ancient races already had a very strong power. If they obtained the inheritance from beyond the heavens, they would definitely become even stronger. At that time, they would truly be able to do whatever they wanted in Divine Desolate. Qin Yun quickly calculated in his heart. Yun Long might know more about the blue heavenly cosmos. Divine Judge, then go and investigate the matter of the blue heavenly cosmos. We need to act as soon as possible, Qin Yun said. I'll go back now and bring Thunder God's clone here. Divine Judge nodded. Qin Yun sent Divine Judge out of the heavenly palace and promptly returned to the secret room. He took out the Imperial Heaven diagram. Inside the Imperial Heaven diagram, the blue square object became even brighter. This square object looks as big as the small myriad realms Divine Sunday. Could it be that there is a very large space inside? Qin Yun said with a frown. I have to ask Yun Long. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.